Visit shamrockroofer.com.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same but is 95% cheaper? And you can get it online at hims.com/radio. Through Hims, you'll get a free medical consultation to determine the ED medication that's best for you. Discreet shipping if prescribed, a 100% online process, and a range of treatment options, including trusted generic alternatives to the name brands, at up to 95% off. ED is personal, and at Hims, so is treating it. Just go to hims.com/.
Crossover. Oh, killer crossover.
Just crossover. It just crossed him over nastily.
Another victim to the crossovers. Cross him up and sit him down.
The crossover is powered by Everlevel Country Repair and Omaha at everlevelcountry.com. I almost called you Josh late last night.
Why?
Because I wanted you.
Like called me on the telephone?
I was going to call you on the telephone because I wanted you to watch a combined no-hitter going on.
You know what? If I didn't even hear about this.
Yeah, it didn't even make news.
It didn't even register.
So watch on MLB Network. They're showing the highlights. Look at the final out. It's not like they come pouring out of the dugout
it's like
to
nice,
celebrate.
Good game.
The team's not even excited about it.
The fans were standing, but I think they would do that anyway, right?
Well,
bring back real no-hitters.
It was such a blowout. I mean, it was 12-0, and you're like, oh, okay. You know, Pittsburgh had a position player pitching. Even Imanaga said, I didn't know I had a no-hitter until counsel told me he wasn't coming out for the 8th.
Now that's always a lie. That's 100% of the time a lie, right? You know,
it's playing down. Like I was so locked in the zone that I didn't even know.
They always ask the basketball players, hey, did you know that you were like a rebound away from a triple? Yes, of course they did.
Not Caitlin Clark yesterday. She said, of course I knew.
Yeah, she
admitted it.
She
played
it straight.
Of course I knew.
She was one rebound off, and she was like, of course
I knew.
A real truth teller.
Because it's my team and we needed a win, but it would have been nice to win the previous 2 days. It was like subdued. It was like, okay, combined no-hitter. You know?
Yeah.
And they couldn't interview the guy after the game who threw the no-hitter because his interpreter was not available.
Really?
Yeah, so that's why he was not on the field.
Where was he?
I don't know where he was. They found him eventually, but he
found
wasn't
him.
on the field for TV.
Oh, found him.
Yeah.
So Porter Hodge, a man named Porter Hodge,
He's the
finished it
closer.
off. Okay. Yeah, definitely heard of that guy before.
Yeah, it's September.
Yeah, clearly they found his interpreter because he's answering questions right there.
So it says via translator. Yeah. And he's had a great rookie season. So
he's been very good.
So I'm not, it's a combined no-hitter.
No, it's not nothing, but it's something.
I'd be more excited about a 4-1 win in which Tommy Pham hit a 3-run home run.
Yeah, I was
definitely a great idea to just hang all of your postseason hopes on.
It was
Tommy Pham.
That kind of sucked for me.
Yuli Gurriel.
Because I tuned in. We were taking reset, a little bike ride. I tuned in right as you had the runners at first and second with nobody out. They get the first out, then Tommy Pham comes out. 2 pitches well outside the zone, and then I saw that. I'm like, oh, okay.
Tommy Pham's going to start a fight with somebody in the next 2 weeks somewhere.
Well, it is fantasy football season.
Indeed. Exactly. He's famous for this. So, I don't know. A win's a win. I guess I'll take the home run right now, but I'm not excited about Tommy Pham.
Hey, and the Twins lost too.
And the Twins.
So that does help.
And the Red Sox keep losing.
Yeah. 7 in a row now.
The Red Sox are amazing. Love that team.
The fact that the Detroit Tigers are sniffing around a wild card spot right there.
I believe, did they also lose last night? It was 5-5 late.
I think they won.
Okay.
I think they won.
Hey, do you guys have a ready room in your house?
I want one so bad.
That
the ready room with with the music in the background too.
I was thinking about the idea of a ready room.
Was that
so
the
on
horn?
the Chasing Three? So Nebraska's
Josh, you're going to see the ready room today.
They don't do the locker room. They have like a room before they go on the field. So it's basically
I don't want to say it's a
room.
It's
like a
room.
lobby.
It's a speech room.
But they all get him in there, and so that's where he does his speeches. And so there was a Matt Rule speech.
Matt Rule,
but I want a ready room in my house.
And
there can't be anybody who does speeches better.
No, he's made for that.
Have you seen the movie Meatballs?
That was great.
It
also,
doesn't even matter.
Also basketball.
Yes,
some good speeches.
Yeah,
in that
basketball.
movie
You're absolutely right.
Let me pause for a second. Is Bill Murray the greatest inspirational speech giver of all time? Meatballs, Stripes.
Oh yeah, Stripes. That one was good.
There's always an air of sarcasm with
we're
him.
We're the mutt. Yeah,
like you can tell, Matt Rule's dead serious. If we die, we die. That's a real thing.
You don't think you could? If
Time
you
to put
say
childish things away.
If you say that to a group of 18 to 23-year-old men, you don't think you can have a little sarcasm? If we die, we die.
If we die, we die. I guess.
Many would like you to add Space Jam to that list, Gary.
Ooh, see, this Mike.
Oh yeah, that's right. During the timeout.
So I think all of these kind of speeches that Bill Murray has given are improv. They were in the script, but they were just like, go, Bill.
Because I learned the majority of the Caddyshack, including the greenskeeper at Augusta scene before he goes out with the bishop, was all improv.
Okay. All
that
right.
entire Masters scene of it's in the hole, that was all improv.
All right, Bill, get it cooking a little bit.
Yeah.
That's good. That's good. I mean, obviously you have there's many like real, actually great speeches from football movies. Yeah.
Al
Pacino.
6 inches in front of your face.
Yeah. Can you be perfect?
She had a great ass.
Can you be perfect? That's one of Al Pacino's best.
Yes.
Yeah. There's that one.
So Al Pacino may be battling Bill Murray for the best speeches.
Or Billy Bob.
Yeah.
He probably gave a pretty good one in Bad News Bears too.
Oh, I'm sure he did.
I don't remember it, but I'm sure
I don't
he
think
did.
his character did either. So let's take care of it. Yeah, good Friday Night Lights call on that one.
Yeah.
It was pretty good.
It's been some good one. I was watching last night. I've made a lot of references to Batman climbing out of the gulag.
Yeah.
Because I feel like that is relevant. What? Why are you laughing? It's not funny. It's real.
Okay.
A man nearly died.
So Batman, he's in the gulag and he tries to climb out, but he's tethered to the wall.
Well, yeah.
And then he breaks his back.
Couple failed attempts.
Falls down and the guy's sitting there in the gulag and he's telling him like, hey, I'm ready. My body is ready. And the guy asks him, is like, is your soul ready? And he's like, my soul is as ready as my body is. And then he basically tells him it's the fear. And so he goes up there and he untethers himself.
Yeah.
And he climbs out of that gulag. And I feel like that's a really good representation
with everybody chanting
of this week. Yeah. Yeah. And he's like, what are they saying?
Impossible.
Yeah. So
that was Bane's reaction.
I just feel like that's very applicable to this week.
So if Nebraska,
do not tether yourself to the fear.
That movie seems like it's on every week now.
Love that movie.
Yeah, it's the airplane seat at the beginning. It's you're in for rises. But do you think they'll expect one of us in the wreckage, brother?
It is a football movie.
It is Heinz Ward.
Yeah, it's true. That is true.
Yeah. What
a lovely voice.
That Gotham team got swallowed up.
So if Nebraska wins a 1-score game in the fourth quarter against Colorado, does Prime just go impossible?
Yeah, Bane was pretty stunned.
He was. He couldn't believe it. That's just the collective Nebraska fan base just goes impossible.
They were the Gotham City Rogues.
Were they playing Rapid City? I'm pretty sure they were playing Rapid City.
Did they have Roethlisberger on there too?
Yeah, he was on the sideline during the anthem. I'm pretty sure the mayor
Field
says
Heinz Field's never been the same.
No.
And they had
I think they have turf issues now because it just crumbled.
Well, it did fall apart.
Yeah, it fell apart. Tough to put that back.
They had an overhead like drone shot of Citi Field, I think, in that movie too, when they were going through Gotham, and it was like in shambles because Bane had taken over the town, and it's like, yeah, well,
Skeens wasn't there yet.
That's the Mets. Yeah,
of course they weren't going to touch
Citi Field.
Citi Field. Of course they weren't going to touch Yankee Stadium.
Yeah.
No. You can't make that look like it's in shambles. That's for sure. I think that's very applicable to this week. Untether yourself.
So we've been in the gulag for a while. Nebraska football has been in the gulag.
And the only way out is to
untether
yourself from the fear.
Rapid City Monuments.
Yeah, Rapid. I just remember the mayor saying, "Now I'm going to go
Boy,
watch our boys kick Rapid City's
that
butt."
team.
The Monuments.
They do have a hockey team there. That's what should be the hockey team's name.
The Monuments.
Yeah,
I
the
like that
Rapid
name.
City Monuments.
Yeah. Because the Hard Hats is already used
I mean,
by the Legion team.
I get it. Like you're going for the Mount Rushmore reference.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yep.
Rapid City, nice little town.
Yeah.
Tucked away in the
ball
hills.
field. Great ball field.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they're the
Love the Black Hills.
The Legion team is famous because they all wear the Olerud skull caps. Even the pitcher, like when they're out on the field, they all wear the skull caps.
And that's just a thing they do?
Yeah, the shells, I should say. Yeah, the Olerids. They're called the hard hats.
Weird.
It is weird.
We've gotten confirmation that Colorado is staying right here in our lovely community, but they're staying in Sarpy County.
Yeah.
They usually do.
Fun.
Sarpy County tourism.
It's shopping.
Good luck
See Prime.
dealing with those people merging at the Gretna Outlets exit. Good luck.
Well, okay.
They're going to have to deal with that.
So
I
you
wanna go to
probably didn't
Smash
hear
Park Friday
yesterday.
night now.
I had to vent a little bit about I-80. It does not matter any time of the day. You and I go to Warner Park a lot, so we probably take that route. It's always going to slow down at the Giles
curve.
Harrison.
Yep.
Okay, it's always going to slow down. It doesn't matter what's going on in Gretna. At the outlets, it's going to slow down, and then everybody's going to slow down once they hit the Platte River. After that, you're fine.
Nobody knows how to get on the interstate, apparently.
Yeah.
But specifically from exit 426.
But once you get on the other side,
It's
past
clear.
the outlets, it's clear.
You would think that there was nobody there anymore.
That deked me one game going down there. I thought, there must be a huge accident. And so I thought, man, I'm not going to get there till like the second.
So-
day.
I can take Highway 6.
Yeah.
But you're going to have to, if you're going from Omaha, you're going to have to plan accordingly that Colorado's entourage will pull out and they'll shut down the interstate essentially while they go whizzing by on the side of the road.
You're going to have to deal with exit 426. That's what you get for staying in Omaha.
People be driving alongside them, throwing eggs at their bus.
Maybe they'll take their bus over to the res and then whatever happens.
I would venture to guess that it could be tough to get into Smash Park Friday night. That seems like, because that
Great
can
place.
accommodate a lot of people.
I would imagine
They'd
that
probably
there will
close
be
it
a
down.
lot of security around the hotel.
I would think
Maybe
so.
Coach Prime's going to take the boys to a movie.
That's what we were thinking.
Yeah, we were thinking
They
they
stop
might
at
see
the
Beetlejuice.
Alamo.
There's
For
a
the
big
wings.
There's a big Beetlejuice thing going on that night.
Yeah, what are they playing out at the Alamo?
Definitely some Beetlejuice. Maybe there's
I'm interested in Beetlejuice too.
I once saw, I think I told you guys this. I once saw the Texas Tech team at 20 grand
Oh yeah,
the night before a football
really?
game.
At 20 grand?
Yeah, 20 grand.
No
I don't know
kidding.
what they were doing in Northwest Omaha, but Mike Leach was there.
Damn.
We walking around the movie theater.
That would have been, if that would have been
Yeah.
like in the last few years, that would have been right next to our neighborhood.
Yeah,
Oh, all the
they,
heck.
they were all there.
Oh man.
Mike Leach was walking around with a little itinerary in his back pocket.
Did they go by the scooters?
Well, there wasn't probably a Scooters
Yeah, the
there
Scooters
at the time.
probably there,
The 20 grand really owned that parking lot back in the day. Not
Yeah.
anymore.
That's a
Scooters
lot of time to kill. I mean, the game isn't until 6:30.
Yep.
Yeah, but you want to get down. I mean, they'll probably get down there.
Do you
by-
think Colorado's pickleballers?
I bet Colorado leaves here 2:30
Gosh, that seems late, but
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah,
because you
probably-
go in. Most
you don't
guys
want-
are
yeah.
taped.
Yeah, and you're in a tiny
Yeah.
little baby locker room. Like you don't
Mhm.
want to just let it happen.
Yep.
Let's see what else is going on at Alamo Draft House. Yeah, Beetlejuice. Let's see, tomorrow 9/6.
They go to Hooters.
A lot of showings of Beetlejuice tomorrow. Beetlejuice. The Front Room. Deadpool and Wolverine. 9:30 showing.
Okay.
There you go.
That's probably maybe.
Josh, is
6:15.
Beetlejuice 2 going to be any good?
I don't know.
I'm intrigued.
They've
And
really
they got
started to
everybody
promote
back,
it.
right? Catherine O'Hara's in it too,
yeah.
right?
I think it's gonna looks good enough,
Yeah.
but feels like an excuse just to do
Make
it
a
again.
movie?
Yeah. Get the band back together.
Guys were down out in the luck. Got to make a little money.
Well, yeah, I'm
Let's
wondering.
make a movie.
I'm wondering who drove this project home. It had to be one of the main influences. Was Michael Keaton?
That's a good question.
He's been doing stuff.
Who asked?
Yeah, that's where it starts.
Yeah.
Right?
Do the kids like Beetlejuice?
That's a good question.
Seems to not come up a lot.
It doesn't.
No, it is.
Even during Halloween, it doesn't
question.
really come up.
Beetlejuice is kind of creepy.
Oh, it's dark. I mean, it's a Tim Burton movie, so it's definitely a little bit more dark, edgy.
Good one from Dan. Prime can take them to Hooters.
Yeah, we thought about Hooters as well. We were thinking about all the surrounding areas: Hooters, Smash Park. What's the cookie place? Dough.
And if you forget anything,
go to Jersey Mike's.
Right there. Costco.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering if you needed a Costco run in the morning.
It's a nice Costco.
Some essentials.
Yep. A lot of room to maneuver.
We're Costco guys. They do a Costco guys video. Double chunk chocolate cookie. That'd be fun. They should do that.
They are about the content.
A parody.
You're like Saturday morning, you get up early and go shopping at Costco, and you walk around the aisle, and there's Dion and the Amazon TV crew filming him shopping at Costco.
Getting some Prime gear.
Got a text from Brian.
Hi, Brian.
My two daughters, 14 and 15, both love Beetlejuice and want to see the new one.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, great. Good to know. All right. There is hope for the
Definitely
youth
one of
after
those
all.
things you could like, oh, I loved this thing as a kid, and my kids love it, and we can share in it together, sort of thing.
What's Keaton been up to lately?
He directed something that went like straight to Max.
Nice.
Gosh, what has he done lately?
I don't know. I have no idea.
I mean, he was in Cars.
Maybe he's looking for a bag. Maybe he's just,
maybe it was Michael Keaton.
Just trying to get after it a little bit. Also, Michael writes in, the Sanders are going to go shopping at the outlets. I heard they sell nice watches there. Maybe the guy needs a new watch, and it'll just, there'll be a little tag on it that says Nebraska Crossing. But then we'll have to return it at the end of the weekend.
Yeah, that's true. Good product placement.
This is going to be a circus.
It is. It is.
So I can't wait. This will be a fun game to watch the behind the scenes stuff next week, whether it be on Chasing 3 or Amazon, his show.
Yeah.
His behind the scenes have increased the people that are on the crew for this game.
Good.
Have they?
Good.
Yeah.
So did they put out an episode from their week 1 yet? Or
I haven't seen it.
Or is that like an after the season thing?
I don't know.
They
usually release like a teaser.
The only episode I watched of that was the Nebraska one from last year.
Yeah, that's actually the only one I've seen too.
They don't.
I honestly didn't know if they
promo
were
it?
still doing one this year.
Yeah, I know. I don't hear
Does
about
Amazon Prime advertise anything that's on there?
Not really.
I don't know.
The game when they play a little NFL football.
Yeah, the
on
NFL
Thursday
games.
night.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's
Check it out. We got Andrew Whitworth in his hoodie
But it's also a suit jacket.
and a suit jacket.
But hey, if you have the body to pull that off, that's the look. You can go with a light hoodie and the sport coat and jeans.
Steve writes in, Prime taking the boys to Cabela's.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Go across the street, do a little runza, maybe some amigos, a little lunch.
There's nothing like going to the Cabela's and going to that candy aisle and dipping the big scoop in the candy and dumping it in the bag.
Oh, yeah.
And then weighing it at the end and saying, oh my God, why does this cost $14
Get some saltwater taffy
for a bag of loose candy?
I think they should have more. You should be able to buy like pieces. Remember, like they'd have if you went to like a Super Saver.
I just want one.
But they'd have like the little box where you could put like the quarter in.
Yeah.
Like it would be an honor system.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I
Be
do
nice.
remember that.
Be nice.
Never really honored that system either.
What if like the Colorado, they didn't know what to do, and next thing you know, they're behind what is now Kiewit, but used to be PayPal, and they're playing basketball.
That'd be funny.
They're like, this is pretty sweet, and it's going to be glorious weather.
For content playing basketball in that.
No, I was always hoping.
great.
I wanted to see
time.
maybe like a company picnic that the PayPal employees were out just hooping. No, never once.
Just trying to get some run.
They have a nice, it's like a little lake with a fountain
Yeah,
there. It's so
It's
beautiful.
very, very serene. Yes.
Never seen anyone taking it in.
No.
No.
How was the vibe from the folks in Denver?
They're angry. They
At
were
us.
They
or
were very
the
mean to
football program?
me. They were very mean to me.
I've not watched I've not listened. I've only seen your screenshots of people that were taking screenshots of you being on.
Yeah, there was a clip that I think they put out there. They came in pretty hot. They asked me if I how much milk I was going to get this year from my cow.
Oh boy.
You know,
because you're a farmer.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah.
How many? I mean, did you give him a good answer?
Well, I told him no.
Were they disrespecting your grandpa?
I told him no. We're not about the dairy cows.
It's about corn.
It's about the meat in the deep freeze, the refrigerator in the garage. I didn't get my cow yet for this year, I believe is what I said. They asked maybe one football question, and then the rest of it was just they made fun of me.
Excellent.
Thank you, Mr. Kane.
It's kind of expected.
Love it.
Did you give it back to him?
Oh, I mean, I like to let the play do the talking. You know.
Okay. So you were a lot like Matt Rule was on Monday.
Took it.
Exactly. Now those guys are great. I very much enjoy them.
Was that Brett's?
That's
Brett's
Brett's show. Yeah.
Yeah.
They were nice. They said, welcome to fatherhood.
Yeah.
That whole thing.
Yeah.
And then they hit you with a 1-2 about dairy cows.
Yeah.
Well, at least they brought you in, like light bringing you in.
Yeah. Yeah. That was good. It was good to talk to the great people of Denver.
So how they feel about Colorado? Are they pumped? Are they?
I asked that question and they seemed a little nervous. Maybe some nervous energy there.
Oh.
I think they have an understanding of the margins in which Colorado has to win this game.
Is Dion only talk once a week? Like he's not talking today like Rule, right?
I don't think so.
I think he just does
once a week.
Tuesday and that's it.
He did do it. He does his interview with one of the girls, with one of the women.
Is that his TV show? He does it with Rami.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Rami.
She's Channel 4, which is the CBS affiliate in Denver that does his TV show.
Yeah, I saw one of the clips come out from that this morning.
Because she asked
he was talking about Dylan.
I think she asked a question midway through the press conference. He's like, there she is. It's again. I don't know if you heard us on the crossover, but when we were talking about,
I hope Dion stays forever.
Just being at a press conference, being part of the press pool there, and having the first thing you say, you may not even gotten your question yet, but he responds to it right away. Like, hey, coach. Hey, man, what's up? And then so I thought too. So it's like he just wait a minute, what the hell was I going to ask now?
Yeah, it's pretty disarming.
That'd be great today if because Rule speaks this morning. Like Sipple is he was under the weather, but like Sipple or Sam asked a question, he goes, there he is.
Oh, hey, there he is. He should.
How you doing? He asked everybody how they're doing.
Yeah.
Before, as they're asking their first.
So how's Dylan taking the weekend? Hey, Eamon,
we've got some people that we work with in the Nebraska media that are a little bit awkward socially.
Yeah.
How do you think some guys would respond? Like,
I'm curious.
I'm good.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm because any member of the media can go over there and go to their post-game press conference.
Yeah.
I wonder how many will.
There will be some, right?
So we had this discussion
Feels
up
like
in the lunchroom on Saturday because El Kent has always covered the visiting locker room.
Yeah.
I was in there once. I had to do a thing for the AP, and I went to a Kirk Ferentz press conference post-game once, and he was pretty excited.
And isn't the room like super
very,
small?
very, very small? Very
so,
small.
I mean, I can't imagine. I imagine there will be a lot of media in there.
Mm-hmm.
And there might be some Nebraska media that are like, you know what? I don't need to hear Rule. I'm going here. But El Kent, because Bishop and I asked him, are you excited about next week? And he goes,
so will he
because El Kent at home always covers the visiting locker room.
Yes.
And he's like, no, I am not excited at all.
So will the Dion rules still apply where you have to sound off of your affiliation and everything?
I don't know. I don't know how they do it.
I want to know, like, hey, El Kent.
I review movies for USC on 1620 The Zone.
Movie reviewer for 1620 The Zone.
Yeah.
Hey, man, how you doing?
So what are your thoughts on Beetlejuice?
And we saw that movie. See, you're probably actually going to response.
They asked me to be in the first one. I was too busy.
All right, we got to go because we got a guest coming up. But have a good day, everybody. One day closer.
Yep, one more sleep.
One more
two
sleep.
more. 2 more.
One
Enjoy the
more.
Chiefs game tonight. I know you guys will be watching.
Yep, no disrespect. I'll be at Creighton Volleyball for
Huge game.
the first half.
Massive.
Big game.
Huge game. Was that 7?
6.
6? Standing room only.
It might be a very,
20.
very loaded crowd tonight.
You radioing it or PAing it?
I am MC.
Oh, yeah, that's
Let's
right.
go.
I forgot
Hey.
you're seeing it.
So you did what, Sunday?
I did their first one.
Saturday.
It would be last Friday. Yeah.
Are you stealing some of the chants from Nebraska volleyball?
No.
Roof, roof, roof.
No.
Okay,
No. They
all
do
new?
monster block. Monster block.
They might have originated Lincoln.
They do monster block. And ace baby.
I like that.
Yeah, it's nice.
That's a good one.
All right. See you guys later. Bye. That's Crossover powered by Every Level Concrete Repair in Omaha at everylevelconcrete.com. We'll start things off with Adam Munsterteiger talking Buffs next on 1620 The Zone.
Let's get back to the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
All right, welcome back. We're the Connor Happer Show here on 1620 The Zone and on 1620thezone.com. Connor Happer, Josh Odson with you. Nebraska and Colorado on Saturday evening. It'll be revved up in Lincoln. The Buffs are coming to town. Deion Sanders coming to town. It's going to be something. So let's get to the scoop on the Buffs. Adam Munsterteiger has joined the show many times now, including during our summer school sessions. BuffStampede.com, 24/7 Sports. Adam, good morning, my friend. How are you?
I'm doing excellent. Looking forward to the drive out to Lincoln tomorrow. And it's kind of sad, though, the fact that these two programs don't have any future games scheduled. I was talking with Colorado Athletic Director Rick George this last summer, and he said that they'd love to schedule this again in the future, but this is the last one for the foreseeable future, unfortunately.
I know. This is going to be it for a while. Now, you won't have to make that agonizing drive from your area to the Omaha Lincoln area, which can be pretty tough. You have your stops along the way, halfway North Platte. I'm sure you're ready to kind of relive that thing again as you did back in 2018. But yeah, it's a bit of a drive out here. But we will welcome you this weekend. Hope you enjoy it. But let's talk about the football. Is there anything you feel differently about this team, or I guess what did game one do for you against North Dakota State? Like, is it a continuation of kind of what you thought they'd be in the offseason? Is it a lot of the same of last year? I guess where are you at with this group now that they have a game under their belt?
Yeah, I think there's still some question marks with this Colorado football team, but one of the things that was an issue last year, and everybody knows this, as Shedeur Sanders was sacked 52 times, was the offensive line play in Boulder was just horrendous last year. It was arguably the worst in the country, and so they went to the transfer portal and really remade that group. 13 of the 15 scholarship offensive linemen on the roster were not on the roster last year, so it's pretty much a whole new group. That group was not perfect in the season opener. Shedeur Sanders was hurried 13 times, but he was only sacked once. And if you compare what the offensive line did in the opener compared to what they did pretty much every week last year, it was a substantial improvement. And so that was kind of the main takeaway. Colorado's going to have to play a better football game against Nebraska than they did against North Dakota State if they're going to have a chance to pull off the upset or keep this one close, because there were some issues defensively early on. They were giving up a lot with the short passes in the middle of the field early in the game. To Colorado's credit, they made halftime adjustments, and coming out of halftime, they forced North Dakota State into 3 straight punts after allowing North Dakota State to score on each of their first 4 drives. So the adjustments were there, which was a positive sign, because that was something we just have not seen with coordinators very often in Colorado, and that predates the Deion Sanders coach prime era. It's just been a constant issue. And so Rob Livingston in his first game as a defense coordinator made some nice adjustments, so that was encouraging. But they're going to have to play better as they get into these power conference games, especially going up against a much improved Nebraska team than what we saw out in Boulder last year.
How much does that? Okay, speaking of that, how much are we sort of basing what we might see this coming Saturday off of last year and how that game went? I guess the question is kind of as simple as that. I mean, what does Colorado think they're going to get from Nebraska, and how do they sort of plan to attack it?
Yeah. Well, first off, last year, Jeff Sims pretty much lost that game for Nebraska, or at the very least kept it from being a competitive game. And so even before that, in some of these matchups Colorado's had with Nebraska since they were last conference rivals, Adrian Martinez had some turnover issues in those previous 2 games against Colorado. So even though Dylan Raiola is a 19-year-old true freshman playing in his first game against the power conference defense, I still think you expect him to be a little bit smarter with the football. That was one of the things that stood out to me about him in the opener against Utah, UTEP was making smart decisions, and so they can't expect it to be gift wrapped the way that it kind of was with Nebraska's turnover issues in Boulder last year.
Yep. Adam Munsterteiger is with us from BuffStampede.com, the Colorado 24/7 sports page. I guess this is a very, very simple one. How game changing is Travis Hunter? I think the way Nebraska sees it, it's like, man, that guy is, he's the best player in the game. Obviously, Shedeur Sanders, the guy getting him the ball, is probably the second most established player in this game. Colorado might have the best two guys. Nebraska might think that they, can beat them 1-40 or whatever they need to do in that regard. But like, how much of a difference can those two players in particular make, and how much of an effect can they have on this game?
Yeah, Travis Hunter, especially as he's continued to get better as a receiver, and you certainly saw that on display in the season opener with 3 touchdown catches, and a couple of them being close to impossible catches that he made, just showing really incredible body balance and ball skills. And so he's continued to get better on there. And if he keeps this up, you're talking about an All-American candidate on both sides of the ball. And so usually that just is impossible because of the conditioning aspect of it. Most guys can't go 129 snaps like Travis Hunter did in that opener. He's just a different breed. He just never gets tired. And it seems like some of the stuff he does, even getting stronger late in games, is impossible. He works with a cross-country coach who had coached a lot of renowned cross-country athletes this past offseason. And that cross-country coach was like, I want to cut Travis Hunter open and find out what this man is made of, because even he was shocked. And this is somebody that works with those type of athletes on a daily basis. So it's pretty incredible. He's got to stay healthy. His first year at Jackson State, he came in with an ankle injury, was never really 100% that season. Last year in week 3, he got hit in the abdomen. And he came back and was strong at the very end of the season, but it really messed up his first year in Boulder. So that's the key. It's not the conditioning. It's just making sure that he doesn't have some type of injury along the way.
How does Colorado deal with all of the other stuff that goes into this game? It's obviously a huge game. They haven't been a stranger to those, but the road games last year and the big environment road games were against teams that maybe were that overmatched Colorado a little bit. Thinking about Oregon in particular, I think the Nebraska environment this week is going to be similar, if not better than that. How do you feel like Colorado kind of dealt with that last year in the examples that we have under Deion Sanders, and how might they approach the noise and the atmosphere this week?
Yeah, I mean, this is a program since Deion Sanders, Coach Prime, got to Boulder, has had probably more eyes on it than any program in the country. And part of that is they let people in. They show a lot of things behind the scenes. And so it's kind of a polarizing program. And so they've been used to that. And you turn on ESPN and Paul Feinbaum will be talking negative about Colorado 1 minute, and then the next day somebody other national prognosticators talking negative. And they've been dealing with this really for almost 2 years now. So I think that's one area that this football team doesn't really get phased in. I think last year their issue was not so much the bright lights and all the attention they drew on early on, but it was the fact that as last season went on, other teams had more tape on Colorado, and they were just better at exposing their weaknesses. I don't think this was ever a football team last year that was just not ready for those bright lights, and so they've been used to that. But yeah, I mean, it's going to be a sea of red at Memorial Stadium. It's going to be rocking, and it's going to be a tough environment. But I would say Colorado is one of those teams that if anybody can handle that type of environment, they can do it pretty well.
Will the Buffs attempt to run the ball on Saturday?
We keep thinking they're going to, and then it just doesn't pan out. This is through last season and then in the season opener. They're leading rusher Dallin Hayden, Ohio State transfer, rushed for 20 yards in that opener. And so they do need to get some balance going. Coach Deion Sanders will keep going back to the fact that, we had over 500 yards of offense, but I think against North Dakota State, you can get away with that. I think, you go into a tough environment in Nebraska, you've got to have at least some balance. It doesn't necessarily have to be, a 100-yard rusher, but you've got to keep the defense a little bit more honest going forward. So we've been waiting for that for a long time, and they have not been able to get that balance offensively.
What's the game script that works in Colorado's favor? And does it need to be on their terms in order for the Buffs to win it?
Well, I think every week Colorado is going to have an advantage just in the passing game. And with their elite receivers, they've got really 4 all-conference candidate type guys at receiver. And so Jimmy Horn goes for 198 yards in the opener. The next week, maybe the focus more on him, and other guys like LeJontay Wester, Will Shepard, who transferred in from Vanderbilt, will be less of a focal point of the defense, and then they'll step up. So that's going to be the advantage they have each week. And so they need to really have an advantage in that area. And it comes down to protection. They didn't have it last year on a consistent basis. Shedeur Sanders finally broke down and just was not as consistent as the season went along, because he just was, there were times he was not even getting into his first read. If the season opener is any indication, the floor indeed has been risen for this offensive line. So you feel better about that, but it's still not a highly proven unit at this point.
How do you think? And I guess we'll get you out here on this one, Adam. A lot has been made about what Nebraska is going to bring to the table from a physicality standpoint. Colorado dealt with that a little bit last year, and obviously, like you just said, it kind of resulted in them, really showcasing Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter. They throw it all around the field. We talked about the offensive line at the beginning of it and how improved it is on Colorado's side. I guess how prepared are they to match up with Nebraska's physicality on both sides of the ball compared to a year ago?
Yeah, there's that saying from Mike Tyson, everybody's got a plan until they get punched in the mouth. This is going to be a more challenging, more physically imposing team than what they faced in the opener. And North Dakota State is a really, really good FCS program, ranked number 2, and has been a team that has knocked off a lot of FBS programs before. But this is a different animal going out to Nebraska. And so I think that this is going to be a really good test for them. Again, I said that the floor has been risen for this offensive line, but we're going to find out exactly how much, I think, on Saturday. And then on the other side of the ball, Colorado has revamped their defensive line as well. And it was a pretty decent performance, especially in the second half by that group. But again, this is just going to be such a different test. So I think the answer there is simply we won't know until they kick off the ball on Saturday. But there was a lot of talent brought into Colorado's program in the trenches. And so I think they're anxious to kind of have that test to see exactly how much they have improved in those 2 areas.
Adam, have you made a prediction yet?
I'm going back and forth on this one. I'm just trying to figure out if Dylan Raiola is going to have some 19-year-old moments out there. I don't know. This seems like a young man that's far mature his age. And so I have a hard time projecting this one. I do think it's going to be a close football game.
Yeah. All right. Adam Munsterteiger, busstampede.com. Adam, appreciate you joining us all these times throughout the year. Like you said at the beginning, it'll be sad to kind of get rid of this one. They've played 4 times in the last 6 seasons, but we hope to catch up down the road, and good luck this season.
It's always fun catching up with you guys. Thank you.
That is Adam Munsterteiger of lovestampede.com. 19-year-old moments from Dylan Raiola. Don't count on it.
Oh,
what?
I mean, no, I agree.
I'm
with
just
you.
saying, like if excuse me, if the hopes hang on that, don't count on.
Yeah, that's not what you want to hope for, count on, need to happen. Yeah.
If the hopes hang on that, don't count on it. We'll go on in just a couple minutes and we'll talk about sort of some scenarios, right? Whose terms are we going to be playing on Saturday? And if it is played on Nebraska's or Colorado's terms, what that means for either side. I'll throw you a little hint here. I know that Nebraska doesn't prefer to get into a track meet. They don't like want to get in a track meet, I guess, because that's where Colorado can really match them. Nebraska wants to be physical and run the ball and hold possession and time and all this stuff. But I'm not convinced that Nebraska can't win that game either.
Hello.
So yeah,
I would have thought that would be the one thing to avoid.
We might get a little bold a little bit later on, but I've tried to play all this out in my head. And so we'll discuss that as we go on throughout the show today. All right. Welcome to it, by the way. I know we had a guest just to start off, so let's set things up. Adam, Jacob Padilla coming up at 11. Michael Bruntz at 12:30. That's our lineup, powered by the referees.
Connor.
At John Higgins Weather Guard. What?
Little breaking news.
Uh-oh. What's it about?
Paul Burmeister.
Yes.
1:30.
Today. All right.
Not the best time, but
yeah,
it's what Paul could do.
We can make it. Mm-hmm. We can make it work. Mm-hmm.
He'll be in the booth Saturday night.
Full disclosure, we did attempt to get Colt McCoy.
Mm-hmm. And he said, I'll never appear on Nebraska radio with you monsters.
He knew we were going to ask what we were going to ask about. So let's just talk about this game.
I have no indication that there was any unpleasantness.
No.
Colt is busy.
Okay, so we have another guest in our lineup powered by the referees. That is NBC play-by-play man Paul Burmeister this afternoon at 1:30. All right, so we're officially loaded here. Plenty of other things to come on the show, like the scenarios I just said. I have a Colorado-related question. We'll hear some Matt Rule speeches from Game 1 that debuted in the Chasing 3 doc from last night. I have some stats, and we're going to be pretty Nebraska-centric today. There's one story potentially out of Tallahassee that I could talk about that I thought was interesting that kind of snuck out there last night.
Okay.
Also, the NFL is back. So we might take you through some bad vibes teams. We might grunt the slate.
Mm-hmm.
We might do that a little bit next. It could be a moment where we could get away from Nebraska for just a moment.
Just a
quick
little
moment, because the NFL is back, folks. We'll get to it next. By the way, you'd like to get in touch with the show, please feel free to do so at Happer Show, at Connor Happer on the JTech Construction Zone Twitter feed. Email Connor, Josh O, 1620thezone.com, and the Equitable Bank inbox. Call or text 402-951-1620 on the 42 Degrees, the Source hotline. And we say good morning to our YouTube streaming audience today. What up, YouTubers? What up, buffs YouTubers?
What up, brother?
So you can find us on zonetv.live or at 1620 The Zone TV. Back after this on the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone. NFL. The Shield. Respect the Shield. It's back tonight.
Yeah, baby.
On NBC/Peacock, if you're one of those streamers.
Those weirdos.
Ravens and Chiefs. Then there is a game in Brazil tomorrow. And then there is a full slate of games on Sunday.
You can hear it all on 1620 The Zone.
Hear a lot of it on 1620 The Zone. And then, of course, on Monday night as well with Jets and 49ers.
Go Niners.
That is Aaron Rodgers trying to not tear his Achilles, round 2 on Monday Night Football to start the season.
He has a chance to do the funniest thing possible.
He does. It could be funny. So, but we don't like it when people get hurt. And I want to watch Aaron Rodgers play again.
Would never wish for it.
No, not at all. But one of the things we do prior to the NFL weekend, and I cannot contain this any longer. It's time for Josh Odson to grunt the slate.
Yes.
We got a full slate of NFL games this weekend, beginning tonight with Ravens and Chiefs. Yeah, no, I think that's more of a yeah, don't you think?
Rematch of the AFC Championship game?
Yeah, like the Thursday night is always a banger.
Yeah.
Right? I don't know the quality of football that will be played because it's the first game and all that stuff, but oh yeah, that's a classic. Packers Eagles Friday night in Brazil. Okay, he's interested. And then part of this bit is I tried to decipher Josh's grunts as well. Packers Eagles. We'll ask Jacob Padilla to grunt that one for us.
I'm sure he'll know what we're talking about.
No, he listens. He's a listener of the show.
Is he awake yet?
Oh yeah, he just retweeted us.
Oh, okay, then yeah,
he's listening.
Hi, Jacob.
He's here. Sunday noon window. This is regardless of where you're located in the country. We're gonna go all of them.
It's happening, whether or not you can watch it.
Yeah.
That's on you.
You just go to FanDuel.com/Happer. Steelers Falcons. Oh, really? Really? You have intrigue.
New faces, new places. Russell Wilson.
You
Kirk
love a
Cousins.
changing of the guard. I should have known.
A little biased.
Cardinals Bills. Doesn't quite do it for me either. Well, there is some maybe with the Bills. I don't know.
I'd like to see
and the Cardinals have some to them this year.
I'd like to see that shiny new wide receiver of theirs.
Marvin.
I'm not saying his name.
Maserati Marv.
I'm not saying his name.
You're not saying his name? Why?
His family would like you to keep their names out their mouth.
Really?
Yes.
What's wrong?
Look up.
I missed this.
Look up Schmarvin Schmarrison Car Wash.
Really?
Yes.
Marvin Harrison Car Wash. Well, that was. Yep. But I mean, that happened. That was a long time ago.
Do you think he's changed? Do you think he's softened as a man? Whole question.
Just generally, do you think he's softened as a man?
Yeah.
No, I am a happier grunt than you are on that one. I'm intrigued for that one.
Okay.
Titans Bears. No, this is a. Yeah, not.
Well, I mean, I am a Titans fan, and the Bears.
I guess.
I would like to see what it looks like for the Bears.
Patriots Bengals. That's more of a fart noise than it is a grunt.
I know.
But it will be accepted under these terms.
Thank you.
Texans Colts. Do these two teams play each other every week? There's no way of really knowing.
They are division opponents, so it would be twice.
This is a snoozer. I don't care.
Snoozer.
I don't care how. Like the Texans are good, and the Colts are always. They're never going to be horrible, right? This will be a good football game. It will probably be a close game by the end of it. I am not interested in watching it whatsoever.
Okay, yeah. Whatever grunt noise that is.
Jags, Dolphins. Game 1 of the Florida Cup.
Yeah, it is.
Is that what that was? No, not much interesting there. Panthers, Saints. Nice. Good one. Vikings, Giants, which you'll get here locally. Not interested in Daniel Dimes and his beard.
Am I interested in the Vikings backups versus the Giants first stringers who are lucky to be in the league? No, I'm not interested in that.
Minnesota, a 1.5 favorite. This is the battle of the two teams.
How is Minnesota 1.5 favorite without their quarterback on the road?
This is the battle. Well, maybe their quarterback sucked.
Entirely possible.
Yeah. This is a battle of the two teams for over the last two seasons. They had a season where they should have lost probably about 10 games, but ended up winning 11. Just played wildly above their expectations because they got hot. Raiders, Chargers in the 3:00 window on CBS. Little Harbaugh action there.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, Josh, you seem more excited for this than I thought you might be.
Okay.
Broncos, Seahawks. Cowboys, Browns. This is a low-key stinker. This is a low-key stinker to me. I know it's the Cowboys, and I know everybody's going to watch it because it's the Cowboys. We love to watch the Cowboys be a dumpster fire.
It's Tom Brady's first game.
This is a stinker.
Fox is daring you not to watch this.
100%.
They're betting you care.
Yeah. Commanders, aka the Washington Football Commanders, and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who are 3.5-point favorites.
Pass.
That's not really a noise. It's more of a word, but we'll accept it. Rams Lions Sunday Night Football on NBC. Yeah, I'm all the way in on that. I'm like,
I have to wrap my head around. I've had trouble this offseason and preseason wrapping my head around. Hey, the Rams are good again. Like the Rams are good again.
Yeah, the Rams are good again, and the Lions are good. Still from last year. I know it's hard to understand.
They're going to play that Applebee's commercial 7,000 times on Sunday.
Monday Night Football, Jets and Niners.
Yeah.
I think there's all the primetime windows are pretty good, as we said this week. Jets, Niners, Monday Night Football, Rams, Lions on Sunday Night Football, and then the two games, the one-offs on Thursday and Friday, are all really good. The noon slate is you could take it or leave it, but guess what? It's week one. And once again, they're betting that we're going to watch. And guess what? We are. Riley writes in on Twitter.
Hi, Riley.
It's okay if you miss the Texans-Colts game this week because it feels like you'll have 7 more chances to catch them playing each other later this season. Seriously, there's no two teams that play. I know they only play each other twice, and I know every division team only play each other twice, but these two teams specifically play 10 times. I don't know how it's possible. I don't know how the math works on it, but it's true. The Texans and Colts play every week.
Poll question: do the Texans and Colts play every week?
Poll question: does it feel like the Texans and Colts play each other every week?
Okay.
I want to get a real answer on this because I think people might actually agree with that, as Riley does, it seems, on the J-Tech Construction Zone Twitter feed. Thank you, Josh, for grunting with me.
Thanks for letting me.
Aaron writes in.
Hi, Aaron.
That's a pretty good slate, TBH. Even some of the games have interesting components. Saints and Panthers is whatever the worst thing in the world is, though.
Yeah.
I don't think we'll probably get much of Saints-Panthers on the red zone this week because I don't think either team will be doing much of the red zone.
1st to 16 wins.
There'll be a big 75-yard play in the first 15 minutes of that game, and we'll never see it again. Thank you, Scott Hansen. Appreciate that. All right, back after this, Jacob Padilla on Nebraska Volleyball's interesting plight at the moment. And then, of course, final football thoughts as we head into week number 2. Come back with Jacob next on 1620 The Zone.
cure for our basketball Jones. Hail Varsities, Jacob Padilla on the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
Baby!
Baby.
Join now the 42 Degrees Source Hotline by Jacob Padilla of Herdad Sports. Jacob, good morning. How are you?
Hello, Connor. I'm doing all right.
Can we get
Back to game day.
Can we get an interest level that is illustrated in a grunt about how you feel about the Packers opening up with the Eagles?
I don't know that I've ever grunted intentionally.
You never made noises like
Oh wow.
Not really. That's not really a reaction I've had before.
Okay, I guess you could say it in words then. That's fine.
Yeah. I think I'm probably going to be out at a high school game during it, unfortunately. So I don't think I'll be able to watch it live, but I mean, it's also going to be weird. We'll see kind of what kind of updates that we'll be getting. From,
Twitter.
Yeah. I wonder how like the team account, like, are they going to like be texting people back home, like leave somebody in the office and I'll be like texting, here, tweet this from like the official Packers account, or
you're the designated survivor.
Yeah, I would assume that you could do most of it from Green Bay or wherever you're operating that Twitter account. But like if there's an injury or something like that, this person will not come back into the game. Yeah, that might have to be a text or an email.
So yeah, it's very weird. Like starting a game in Brazil on a Friday night. It almost doesn't feel like it feels like it's sneaking up on me because it is like a Friday. I'm not used to having NFL football on a Friday.
No.
But I am very much excited just to see this team build off of what we saw down the stretch last season, and very much excited to see a new defensive coordinator and the impact of that. So that, I mean, I'm very glad that football is here, and it's a little different going into this season than last year. The feeling is completely different now, having seen what we did from Jordan Love. Like, I'm so incredibly happy to take the L on that one. Like, I think pretty much everybody else who made an opinion on the pick at the time, and even the start of last year, I just, like, the first few weeks, I had almost basically given up. I was like, it's just not going to work. And then something happened, and he was spectacular down the stretch, and got a lot of fun players around him. So yeah, I think they're going to have a pretty darn good season. It's going to be fun to watch.
I got a couple volleyball football questions for you, but first I want to read you a statement from Big 12 Commissioner Brett Yormark. Our Big Idea Commissioner man has released a statement regarding UConn. Quote, as commissioner, it is my responsibility to explore a variety of value-creating opportunities on behalf of the Big 12. Following detailed discussions with my conference colleagues alongside UConn leadership, we have jointly decided to pause our conversations at this time. We will instead focus our attention and resources to ushering in this new era of college athletics. UConn staying home, Jacob. Good news for the Big East.
Yeah, that kind of just seemed like the way things were leaning. It just didn't seem like Yormark was going to be able to get enough support from the conference leaders to actually push it through, despite UConn very clearly being interested. So I know they're doing everything they can to lock in that super conference money, because they're worried about the future, and I think their athletic department is not in a great place financially. But yeah, good for the Big East. We'll see how long this pause lasts, and who knows what college sports are going to look like in 2 years, 3 years, as these things continue to change and places look for solutions or the best path forward throughout all the kind of the chaos and everything. But for the time being, and good news is, like, Big East already had their TV contract locked in, and UConn was a big part of that. So Like if they had ended up leaving, like is what it is. Creighton got what it needed from UConn, but
yeah,
good thing for the conference to keep them around for a while longer at least.
All right, Nebraska volleyball this week. Weird road match at SMU. SMU packed the place, and they played lights out. Nebraska was not not themselves the other night in getting swept. I guess first of all, from a volleyball perspective, like what happened? How do we and then I guess how do we read into it? What does it mean going forward?
Yeah, go figure. The bait and horse showdown ends with Allie not even in the match and Casey getting the win.
Yeah, right.
It ended up being when I saw this on schedule,
that's got to be the reason it's there, right?
Yeah. You see the like the schedule, but it didn't really click with me that they're playing a road match at SMU until like a couple weeks ago. I was like, oh wait, really? That's a weird thing for Nebraska to be doing. And now I wonder when's the next time that Nebraska is going to do this.
Yep, probably never.
Yeah. But it started with the service line on both sides. SMU served some really tough ones. They did a great job of finding the seams and catching the back line and putting stress on Nebraska. Nebraska on their side couldn't do the same. They missed so many serves and didn't serve many tough ones when they were able to keep it in. And as a result, SMU is one that they got a big advantage in service points alone, just right there. But then their offense operated better because Nebraska was always reacting and out of system. And I mean, the second set, like Andy Jackson had a phenomenal first set. And then the second set, they didn't set the middles at all. Like they just never got back to them just because they weren't comfortable and they weren't in a place where they could run the normal kind of balanced offense, keeping everybody involved. And probably the kind of the most startling thing and the worrying thing, I guess, is the fact that they just were never able to pull themselves out of it. After they blew that lead in the first set, I mean, they didn't lead at all in the second set. And then in the third set, they just crumbled down the stretch. And that's probably more worrying than anything else, is that when things were going wrong, they didn't have a response. They couldn't find an answer. They didn't know what to do. Nobody was able to step up and change the game. So that, and the last time we saw that was in the national championship.
That's right.
Against Texas.
Yeah, just got stuck.
SMU is not Texas, but it looked pretty similar. So that is probably like long term is like there's still some figuring some things out. And again, they tried starting Taylor Lansfair and it didn't go well. Then Lindsey Krause came in and played well, but then kind of tailed off a little bit down the stretch as the whole team just struggled to put away points. And then I think the biggest thing from early on this season that they got to get figured out is Merritt Beeson. She is playing very poorly, and they can't really afford to have their All-American team captain, unanimous first team, all Big Ten opposite hitter, erring as much as she does. She's got 23 attack errors already, which is almost twice as much as anybody else on the team, and only 34 kills. She's hitting under 100. Like that's just not going to get it done. And Harper Murray's playing about the level that she was last year. Hasn't necessarily taken a leap forward, but she isn't playing horribly. Lindsey Krause's been solid. But Merritt, like that's not going to work. So that's probably the biggest thing they need to correct outside of the serving issues. And it's not like the passing. They went from TCU, who had one player that had 7 aces the night before, and they went the entire match without giving up an ace. So, and that was kind of a big talking point coming out of that. And then immediately afterward, we saw what happened down there in Dallas. So I don't know that that's necessarily something that, this is a big flaw that they need to fix, that it's consistently been a problem, but it was a problem in that match. I think Merritt's play is one that has consistently been a problem that they need to kind of work through.
Yeah, I sort of have trained myself with Nebraska volleyball because this has happened to them a couple times where they've lost these, kind of questionable ones early in the season. Obviously, it didn't happen last year as they carried that long undefeated streak very, very deep into the season. But my immediate reaction to it, we talked about it on the show the next day. It was like, oh, well, they lost. Okay, they got it out of the way. Let's reset. Cook kind of called him out a little bit. He said, hey, we were acting like Nebraska and we haven't done anything. Like that could be a positive thing for a team as talented as Nebraska is. I guess my question at the end of all that is how much lingering concern should there be? I know you just gave a bunch of reasons. Those players aren't playing really well right now, but what's Nebraska's like? How good of a chance do they have to kind of right the ship and get it straight before it gets a lot tougher? It's not tough this weekend, obviously, but going for, that Creighton match is coming right up, and Creighton is mega hot right now on Tuesday.
Yeah, well, I'd feel worse if we didn't see the season opener where Nebraska went down and beat a top 10 Kentucky team in 4 sets away from home. So they're very clearly capable of still playing at the level that we thought they could. I think talked about the last time they lost a non-conference match to an unranked team was in 2017, and they won the national title that year.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a chance that this is just a blip and something that kind of that they can use as a galvanizing force moving forward. Cook was pretty disappointed in his post-game radio press conference and had some pointed comments for Beeson and Lexi Rodriguez in particular as the team leaders. And basically said, hey, they need to step it up. They set the tone for everybody else. And that was a weird thing too. Is like Lexi was getting aced and they were targeting her and she was giving up kills. Like we're seeing stuff that we're not used to seeing from her. Like the SMU wasn't afraid. Like a lot of teams just try to avoid her as much as possible, and they weren't doing it. They were going right at her and having success. So that's again something that that's probably not going to happen very often. It's not a flaw to be concerned about. It was a bad night, but you can't afford to have both your captains have bad nights at the same time and not find a way to kind of lead the team back out of the hole that they dug themselves in. So it'll be a learning experience. It is kind of crazy that the Citadel is the next team they play, and last year those are the last 2 teams to lose a match. And here they are facing off a year later, and they already have a loss within the first week and a half of the season.
That's pretty unique. And then, like I said, I don't know, they both obviously have matches coming up this weekend, so the book's not quite written. But we won't talk to you again before next Thursday. What's the outlook on Creighton, Nebraska? It feels like Creighton's got a really big one tonight. With USC on national television, but I guess how do you feel about that right now for both sides? And does this feel like Creighton's best opportunity?
I think so. If Nebraska had taken care of business against SMU and then kind of swept through this weekend like expected, they're going into that match number 1. And this probably feels like a lot of matches in the past where Creighton's coming in, they're feeling confident, but they're taking a swing at one of the best programs in college volleyball history that they never beat. Now, we'll see kind of how the rankings shake out and all that, but they're going to be going in that match. I'm sure Creighton will feel like, hey, no, we feel like we can play at the same level on the same level as these guys, which I don't know how often that's happened before. I think this has a chance to be as good of a match between them as we've seen. There've been a couple close calls. There've been some great matches between the two. Back 5-setter a few years ago, in particular. But I think, and if you don't have plans and you can't make it to the arena, I think you probably want to stay home and watch that one on TV because that has a chance to be something special.
No doubt. Football thoughts for this weekend, Jacob. I guess how much have you dove into Colorado, Nebraska, and what do you think we'll get on Saturday?
Yeah, I think this is a fascinating matchup, especially this early on.
it has a chance to both allow Nebraska to kind of flex its muscles and show its strength, and gives them a chance to really test kind of the question marks. I'm looking at defense specifically here in regards to that, because to be able to win, like, that defensive line up front has to control the game.
Yep.
And they have to finish plays. That's what we haven't seen in the past. Like, even last year, where that they took a step forward and everybody had a really good season. How many plays were they close to making in the backfield that they just couldn't complete? And if you don't get Sanders down, then you're going to pay for it. You can't allow him to escape the pocket and extend plays when you've got a near sack and let him get the ball down the field. Like, that's how you lose that game. So I like the matchup of Nebraska's defensive line against Colorado's reworked offensive line. Obviously, I think they've upgraded some talent there, but I don't know that it's a great unit just yet. And so Nebraska's got to be able to control things in that regard there. And they have to complete the plays and show that, hey, we're not just kind of a stout front group now. Like, we're game wreckers. Like, that's the next step for this defensive line, or this front, however many, with Rhoda Jackson there and then the pass rushers. They got to show that they can not just be solid, they need to control games and change games. And then on the back end, can those cornerbacks and defensive backs hold up against Colorado's weapons outside? Like, you're not going to face many teams this year that has a more talented group of receivers than what Nebraska was going to see this weekend. So obviously the defensive line is part of that. Like, you got to get pressure, because if the back end has to hold up for 5 seconds, 6 seconds, 7 seconds, whatever it is, then nobody's going to be able to survive like that. But, like, you got to see Tommy Hill and Marquise Buford now back at corner, and these other guys, they got to hold up and they got to hold their own against some really talented dudes out there. So I'm really fascinated from that standpoint, just kind of how Nebraska's defense matches up with that Colorado offense. And then basically every game this season is going to be a chance to see Dylan Raiola and what he is capable of doing, and how, like, he transforms this offense. I think probably my takeaway from the opener is just, wow, the weapons they brought in, they look legit.
Yeah.
Like, these guys look different out there making plays. Even a guy like Ja'Cory Barty Jr., who didn't have a huge offensive game, like, you could see it with him. Like, the one play he made, like, okay, that looks a little different. And then obviously the returns, like, they got something in him. And I'm excited to see kind of how his role evolves and how he improves as the season goes on. But then Banks, that touchdown catch was ridiculous. Nair having the huge game that he did. So I like kind of the pieces they brought in. I think this offense has a chance to be explosive, which couldn't say that about it at all last season. So
no.
I'm fascinated. I think this will be a really fun matchup, and I'm looking forward to being able to sit down and actually watch this one. I was last week, I was kind of had it up on the phone while I was covering high school volleyball, and then put up on the radio as I was driving down to Lincoln for the Husker volleyball. So I didn't really get a chance to lock in while the game was going live. But this week, as long as Nebraska doesn't go 5 sets and with Montana State, like, fingers crossed here, please take care of business, then I'll really have a chance to get back and sit down and really absorb this one.
All right, Jacob, enjoy the weekend. Appreciate all you do, man. We'll talk to you soon.
Sounds good.
Jacob Padilla of Herd at Sports. You can check out his coverage of everything, everywhere, all the time. He's covering things that you couldn't imagine.
It's a good thing that guy doesn't sleep.
It's a good thing that guy doesn't sleep. I thought he was going to say that he was going to take the walk, as many Husker fans will, from the Bob underneath the various bridges into the stadium on Saturday night.
That'll be fun.
If you do that and you're on the other side of the street, wave at that little coffee house, because that's where we'll be doing Big Red Overreaction. But we won't be there at the moment.
Yeah, you'll be there after.
We'll be there after.
Win or lose.
All right, we will return on the other side. Matt Rule, on Monday, he was asked about the extra juice for this game, the extra oomph. And he made a comment about, like, pump-up speeches and how he said, I don't know. I'm not really a big speech giver. I'm just a big, like, hey, let's get off the field on third down. Let's just execute here. Well, he's a liar. Matt Rule, the best thing that Matt Rule does is give speeches. He's incredible at it. And he could give a speech about absolutely nothing, and I would be so locked on it. We have examples when we return on 1620 The Zone.
He gives you the latest sports news, interviews, and life-changing commentary with a smile on his face. Because he wears those ticklish underpants.
Let's get back to the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
Josh, I made a graphic. Look at you. Look at that. It was hard work.
Was it though?
I stole a Succession meme and I put Nebraska's logo over Kendall Roy's face.
That's right.
I feel like that's the last scene of Succession, basically.
Well, not his last scene.
He's spitting everywhere, and you can't do this. You can't do this. I feel like I feel like if I don't get this, that's it for me. I feel like I might die.
That is a show that we were obsessed with, and have not mentioned since it was over.
No, but we should,
as a society.
But we should. We should talk about it more. I
feel like it actually had no staying power, but it should have, because it's a great show beginning to end.
Great show. But we forget about things fast these days. You know,
it's a go-go society.
We don't hold as many grudges as we used to. We don't.
No.
Also,
everybody hates that guy.
I've been thinking about that, and I've been thinking about, of course, the Gulag Batman situation a lot. I watched that. It's about a 3-minute and 30-second clip on YouTube of Batman's time in the Gulag.
Oh yeah, sure.
Basically, and it's pretty motivational. I think it makes a lot of sense for this week. And so that's what Matt Rule has to do when thinking and conjuring up speeches. You a big speech giver, Matt Rule? I'm just worried about executing. I'm blocking, tackling, getting off the field on third down, not turning the football over, getting turnovers on defense, getting sacks, bringing Shedeur Sanders to the ground. That's all I'm worried about, says Matt Rule.
Total football guy.
Yeah, totally. But then, so we're going to have this Chasing 3 thing all year, and they're going to put out a little documentary every week about a recap of the week. So Chasing 3 week 1 came out last night. It's been all edited up. We got some behind the scenes looks at what Nebraska did to prepare for UTEP, and Dylan Raiola's story and his arc and being named the starting quarterback, and Dominic Dom. He was featured,
Featured?
Yeah, he sat in a chair and did an interview and talked about Dylan's journey. And
they got Dom to talk.
They got Dom, yeah. They got Dom.
Big get.
Yeah, it was a huge get. And then
we got him that one time.
Then you get to the last 15 minutes, and it's the game, right? It's kind of modeled like a Last Chance U episode, basically. There's a big portion of the episode is the week, and then it's the game, right? And a lot of stuff happens in the game. And so we remember the "If we die, we die" speech from a year ago.
Who could forget?
He felt like Nebraska needed it at that time. Well, yeah, go ahead. Hit it.
If we die, we die.
His eyes were as fiery as we've ever seen him. I was scared in that moment.
A little bit.
And so what do you say to a team that's coming off the season that they had last year, and they're playing against a crap-tastic opponent in UTEP? And, how do you get them prepared? Well, here's Matt Rule's pregame speech. You tell me if you'd be ready to go against UTEP.
Take all that nervous and send it out of this room right now. Nobody's done what we've done. Nobody's built like us. Take all that nervous and cast it out. You're warriors. You are ready. Play one snap at a time. Play together. You're warriors. You're ready. Play one snap at a time. Play together. That's it. Just like Colonel Kitchen said now. You leave this ready when you start walking out there. I want you thinking about what's important to you. Your family, your friends, those fans, the people that find joy when you play. Go play for the love of that. Go play for the love of each other. Coming back in this locker room and hugging and dancing and having fun, knowing that all the work was worth it. Watching the guys who bust their ass for us get a chance to get in a football game. Play because we love to win and we're winners. Can't wait to watch you guys play.
There's not been a person in the history of time who does the tone, the cascading tones,
the rise.
Play for the guys who
can't wait to watch you guys play.
Can't wait to watch you guys play. Then we got to look at halftime. Nebraska's up 30-7 at this point. It's over. And they've just got a touchdown. Jamal Banks has just got a touchdown, and Nebraska's cruising. Here's Matt Rule at halftime of the UTEP game.
Don't let them off the hook. I begged you guys not to let them off the hook. Do not let them off the hook. And red when you get in there, and white when you get in there. Do not let them off the hook. Ruin their season. And at the end, say, hey, you know what? You guys played really hard. You got a hell of a year. But 60 minutes of us. 60 minutes of us. Let's go!
Yeah. So,
shades of Denny Green.
I think he's got some stuff probably in the can for this week. I think he's going to do okay. I think the chasing 3 for next week when that comes out is going to be
electric.
Yeah, that might be. Yeah, that's the aggregators are going to have a lot of fun with that one.
I, in the past, have said a lot of things about Matt Davison and the fine folks at 1890.
How dare you?
I will write a check for $10,000 if you let me in the room for the speech.
Oh, you'd like to buy an opportunity to be in the ready room?
In the ready room.
Interesting.
I don't really have $10,000, but I would find it for that experience.
So they're offering you and only you the opportunity to pay $10,000.
Yeah.
And you'd say, sure, I'll do that.
Sure.
I'd like to be in the room.
Here.
But then how would you use that energy? You don't get to play.
I'll have that feeling with me for the rest of my life.
You can accomplish anything in that moment.
It'll be like when The Rock enters the room and the hairs on the back of your neck stand up. I'll have that feeling again forever.
Ugh. So I think he likes this group. I think everything, and he's talking right now. We'll have some quotes from him a little bit later on if he says anything notable. I doubt he'll say anything notable, to be honest with you.
No.
They have played it so cool this week. And they're going to continue to play it real cool. And after the game, they'll continue to play it cool. Shake their hands and tell them they had a good game and tell them to have some good luck this season. They'll do all that. They'll say all the right things.
Hey, you did good for you.
Yeah. But it's, I don't know. They always say it's personal. Colorado always says it's personal. I don't know if it has to be that way, but there is something extra to this. There will be something extra to this. Because what I didn't include in either of those clips is the post-game part of the speech, which was congratulating his team, go out, have fun. Hey, look, enjoy this one. You're responsible for what you do and what you put in your body and blah, 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 and all that stuff. But he also said, and he slowed down in his classic Matt Rule preacher way, he said, so we got a big one next week.
Oh, we sure do.
And then they all went, yeah, the whole type of thing. Now, this is not a big deal, but once again, I would like to just illustrate the contrast between what you see in the front-facing version of Matt Rule to the Matt Rule to his team. It is different. It's not the same thing. So Matt Rule will continue to say, just play the plays. I just want these guys to execute. I want them to do the things that they have been trained to do. None of this extra crap. It's just all us, But that will not be the message to them on Saturday night.
This season has already been so exciting just because it is rooted in normalcy. It is a normal football team doing normal things.
1 for 1 in normal.
Yeah. Yep. That was what a football game against UTEP is supposed to look like. Yep.
You know what I see?
We're getting hyped for a big rivalry game in week 2.
Let me play a little fortune teller here, Josh. You know what I see in our future? Step into the window here.
Oh, okay. Hi.
You know what I see in our future? To your point just then, Nebraska gets through this week. They win. They beat Colorado. We have the big party celebration afterwards. We'll discuss what it means for the program and where they're at and do that whole thing. And then they'll play Northern Iowa. And then they'll play Illinois. And then they'll play Purdue. And then they'll play Rutgers. Yeah, watch out. And we'll get bored We're going to get bored because we're going to
entirely possible
because we're going to know exactly what to expect every single week from this team. I've been dying I'm going to go Matt Rule voice. I've been dying for this for so long. I want to go to that field. I want to watch on TV on NBC, and I want to know what I'm going to see. I had no freaking idea about the last 10 years now. No idea. Are we going to get an inspired team? Are we going to get a team that's half asleep? Are we going to get a team that executes? Are we going to get a team that does not execute? It would change drive to drive. And with this coach, with this group, you're going to have so much fun being bored. You're going to have so much fun being bored. Now, if they lose this weekend, we won't be bored.
No, but
it'll be different.
We're going to do the thing where, you better watch out for Northern Iowa. They're a good FCS program.
Yeah.
They do the fundamentals really. Like, we're going to do that whole thing. Remember Buffalo?
To imagine there was a time. So Pedro writes in, he says,
Pedro.
Hi, guys. I was not a Coach Rule guy. He's a great motivator, and I feel like the Kool-Aid man. I'm ready to run through a wall. Oh, yeah. I mean, last year I brought this up on the show. We talked about it. This idea that Nebraska was approaching things in such a mundane way, and that every opponent was this nameless, faceless opponent, and it sort of sucked all the emotion out of it. And I think that was the right thing. And I talked about this week as well. That was the right thing for the program at the right time. They needed that desperately. Now I feel like Matt Rule is approaching this team a little bit different. He's saying, we got that part. Now let's, whatever extra to the table we have to bring. Have confidence in yourself. That type of deal. So, yeah. But I'm telling you, we're gonna get bored in the next month. We're gonna say, man, when's the next big one? When's the next big one? When's the next big one? But it'll be nice to know. It'll be an easy team to predict. It'll be an easy team to understand whether they're gonna cover or not for you gambling folks out there.
Promo code Happer.
That it won't be this totally erratic mess. Yes. I agree with your point, Josh. It's gonna be It might get boring.
Thank you. I'm glad I could spurn some conversation.
Yeah, I appreciate that. That's good. All right, we'll come back. Josh will have the odd news. Speaking of spurning conversation,
yes,
I'll have some of that. Noon hour, I'd like to talk about a couple of the storylines going into the game, the scenarios as well for Nebraska. Michael Bruntz will join us at the bottom of the hour, and Paul Burmeister, the play-by-play man for NBC this weekend for Nebraska and Colorado, will join us at 1:30. It's the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
And now we've reached the point in the show where Josh Odson reads the peculiar, the bizarre, the comical, the odd news with Odd Son. Odd news, Odd Son. See what we did there? The odd news with Oddson.
All right, one more from Rule here. This is today. Our dear friend Jacob Bigelow just tweeted out this quote, so we'll credit him.
Hi, Jacob.
Matt Rule said he's shown the team the Crawford versus Spence fight.
Oh, good fight.
Quote, that picture of what a great boxer looks like, that to me is what a great football team looks like. It's not emotional. It's not swinging from side to side. It's very methodical, very stoic, and stone-faced.
Yeah, I never.
That's how Bud fights. He's surgical, baby.
Yeah.
Like a surgeon. Like a surgeon. But he's showing the team boxing matches. Oh, forget about it.
We're so back.
Forget about it. So, all right, Josh, what do we got today?
We talked about this person in the crossover this morning, and I was hoping nobody ruined the story, and they did not.
Marvin Harrison?
No, Mike. I would never say that name. Michael Keaton in the news.
What's he up to?
Beetlejuice in theaters this Friday, but he dropped a bombshell on People magazine this week. Michael Keaton, not his real name.
Oh, really?
You know what is?
Michael Jackson.
Close.
Michael Irvin. Michael Irvin.
No, that'd be hilarious.
Michael. It's got to be another famous Michael, right?
Yes.
So somebody older than him.
Uh-huh. Had the name first.
Michael Douglas.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. Woo! Got to the bottom of that one. We're back.
Did you read that already?
No, I've never seen that before.
Okay. Well, yeah. Michael Keaton's real name is Michael Douglas, and that name was taken when he registered with the Screen Actors Guild initially. The 72-year-old actor says he doesn't quite remember how he landed upon Keaton as his stage name. He assumes he was just flipping through the phone book one day and liked that name.
It'd be cool if there was two very famous Michael Douglases, though.
Yeah.
So, is that his real name? Michael Keaton's name is Michael Douglas?
Yes.
Okay. And he tried to register that name.
Yeah. No, sorry, sir. That name's taken. Have you seen Basic Instinct?
I love the idea of sorry that name's taken. Well, can I have it too?
But that's my name.
Yeah, I can't really change it. Yes, you can.
He says in the coming years, he wanted to get the ball rolling on this a little sooner, but it hasn't happened yet. That in future projects he will go by Michael Keaton Douglas. Now I think that's
really?
I think that's a mistake.
You can't change your name. It's too late.
Yeah, it's too late.
You're Michael Keaton.
This is like
I didn't know that he was going to change it.
This is like Gregory Echenique on senior night saying, could you guys say my name correctly? My parents are in the audience. It's senior night, Greg.
Wait, we always got Echenique's name, right?
Well,
didn't we?
No.
He changed it at the last day?
Well, no. This happens in baseball a lot. Where they're like...
But it really happened with Echenique?
Yeah, like on senior night, he had a bunch of family in, and he told Jake, like, hey, could you pronounce my name this way? This is how it's actually pronounced.
Oh, like the full, like traditional Venezuelan.
I believe
there's probably
so.
some hyphens in there.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. So, okay, that's a different thing.
Mm-hmm.
That's a different thing than like Mitch Ballack and Mitch Belloc. You know. Or wasn't it LaShawn McCoy? He wanted to go by LaShawn McCoy or something. Just something very, very minuscule,
subtle, different pronunciation, and we're just like, no, we're not doing that.
Yeah.
Rebecca
Alec is Rebecca.
Uh-huh.
Back to being Rebecca. So, yeah, no, sorry, Keaton. You're just Keaton.
Yeah. We go to Western Kentucky for story number 2. Oh, big things brewing at Western Kentucky this weekend.
The west of Kentucky.
That's right. The Hilltoppers holding their annual whiteout game this Saturday.
As they do.
Or so they thought. WKU planned to have a whiteout game on Saturday. But the Hilltoppers are instead going to be changing to their red jerseys after Eastern Kentucky stuck it to Western Kentucky.
Nice.
By saying, no, we're the road team. We'll be wearing our white uniforms on Saturday.
I love that.
Thank you very much.
That's cool. Nice move by EKU.
Yes, they were given the option. Hey, this is what Western Kentucky is trying to do. Would you accommodate? And they said, no, thank you. The Hilltoppers released a statement on the matter where they threw a slight jab at their rival in the process by saying how long the plan has been out there for them to wear white in its home opener. Quote,
but they just assumed.
Yeah, that's on you.
You didn't ask.
We announced our football game themes and promotions for the 2024 season on July 10th, with Saturday's home opener theme being a whiteout. Every season, we wear white helmets, uniforms, and pants for our annual whiteout game. However, EKU informed us on Tuesday they would be exercising their right as the visiting team to wear white uniforms, thus forcing us to wear red on Saturday. Per NCAA rules, both teams must agree to a uniform switch. We were hoping EKU would agree to allow us to wear white on Saturday, as many other opponents have in the past. This will be the first time.
You can throw as much shade as you want, WKU. It's sorry, you got to play by the rules just like everybody else.
First time the Battle of the Bluegrass will be played since 2017. The game was halted after Western Kentucky went from FCS to FBS.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I imagine Eastern Kentucky might want to stick it to you.
Absolutely.
A little bit.
And okay, so what's the status of the whiteout?
So that's a good question, because I imagine a lot of fans
whiteout continue.
A lot of fans are just going to wear white, right?
If you've been doing this forever and you're calling it the whiteout and it's now an established tradition, I would think that you still do the whiteout while the team wears red and the other team wears white. But it'll look odd.
Let's see what they've. September 2nd, they tweeted white out the Houch.
Sure.
That must be their stadium. Houchins Industrial
LTC. I would assume that they continue on with their whiteout. It wasn't in that statement?
We still, the last line of the statement, we still encourage our fans to show up, be loud, and wear white. Okay.
There you go. The whiteout lives on.
Good for them. Good for them. And finally, a story sent to us by our friend Mike.
Oh, is this about? So we got a text that says, "Please tell me the drunk British guy."
That's right.
It's okay.
I got the drunk British guy right here.
All right.
An allegedly drunk passenger caused mid-air chaos and terrorized others on board an EasyJet flight, forcing pilots to divert course and make an emergency landing. The flight took off from London's Gatwick Airport just after 3:30 Tuesday, heading for an airport in Greece. The Airbus A320 flew through some turbulence during the scheduled 4-hour flight, which did not sit well with one passenger who had gotten intoxicated from whiskey. The allegedly drunken passenger said the captain was rubbish and stood up to disrupt the flight. EasyJet said the emergency
You're
landing
rubbish
stemmed from a passenger behaving disruptively on board. During the flight, the man got into a war of words with other passengers, which led to a brawl and the passenger being detained. An emergency.
I thought this was America.
An emergency landing was made at Munich International Airport. An hour and 44 minutes after takeoff, German police boarded the plane and took the man. As you can see, a lot of footage on TikTok. One furious passenger yelled to the back of the plane, "Get off, you loser!"
Yeah,
another
great take.
Another passenger gave a round of applause. As reportedly, people held the man down until, quote, Captain Mike landed us safely. So
I'm Team Captain Mike as well.
A debate raged on as to the job performance of Captain Mike.
I mean, unfortunately, Captain Mike, it's his responsibility to keep the passengers safe. If he's got to land the plane, he's got to land the plane. All your anger should go with the drunk British guy who's calling people rubbish. That's where your anger should go.
Yeah.
Don't be mad at the pilot for landing the plane. No. He's got to do that. That's his deal. Now, you should be mad at the guy. You should be mad at the British guy who's calling people rubbish because he has cost you not only a gigantic annoyance, but also several hours of your life. several hours of your life.
Oh, yeah.
Because one guy decided to get hammered on a plane and try to start fight people. Not cool, man. Not cool. That guy should go to jail for a long time.
Rubbish.
He should have to pay a gigantic fine.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Go to jail for a long time.
You got to be on a list of some kind, too.
I haven't seen any of the TikTok video. Oh, I should look them up, though. Drunk British guy on plane. What? When I type in, by the way, drunk British guy, the Google tries to tell me what I should be typing in next. The first one that comes up is drunk British guy eats microphone.
What do you mean eats microphone?
I don't know, but now I kind of want to click on that one instead, but I will continue on plane.
I would have thought it like auto-loaded Ricky Gervais.
Brit tackles passenger to the ground on a flight to New York. I thought they were going to...
Yeah, they were going to Greece.
They were going to Greece. So this has happened before.
Drunk guy eats microphones. 10 seconds.
Drunk guy. Drunk
Can I watch
Brit.
a 5-second ad to watch my 10-second video? Thanks, YouTube.
Brit, 30, who threatened to mess up United plane on flight from London to New York City before being tackled by fellow passengers in air rage rampage that prompted emergency landing, is fined $20,000. So this is apparently almost exactly happened before.
Oh, wow.
I'm looking at moving images right now, disturbing moving images of this man with his face blurred out with his hands zip tied together by the crew.
I'm watching moving images of that man eat a microphone, and it's
How'd it go?
false advertising.
Okay, you didn't actually eat it.
Seen that video 1,000 times before on the hub.
What?
He didn't eat the microphone. He put the microphone in his mouth.
Yeah.
And all that implies.
I'm not sure what you're talking about. From the 402, can Connor land a plane with a drunk disturbance on board?
Well, it was an Airbus.
I don't think that would make it any difficult. And yes, I've never said that I could land an Airbus A320, okay, on a 4-hour international flight.
Yeah.
No, I did not say that.
Those were not the terms.
I'm taking a tiny commuter plane at the Millard Airport. All right. That's it. Josh, thank you. That is
thank you, Con.
The odd news. We'll take a break, come back for the noon hour, get into some of those scenarios. Michael Bruntz will join us at the bottom of the hour. Wanted to come on 1620 The Zone, but first, the NFL is finally here, and Sunday you're going to be swimming in it. America's #1 sportsbook, FanDuel, has an offer to kick off the season now through September 22nd. All FanDuel customers can bet $5 and get a 3-week free trial of NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Imagine being able to watch all of it. You'll be like, what's that rich duck, Josh? Scrooge McDuck.
Scrooge McDuck.
Diving
that's right.
into a pool of NFL games. Only if you bet $5 with the FanDuel Sportsbook with your YouTube TV base plan, you'll be able to watch every regular season Sunday afternoon out of market game. All you need is a Google account and a current form of payment, and you can cancel anytime. Head to FanDuel.com/Happer. Download America's #1 sportsbook today. That's FanDuel.com/Happer. 21 and over, present in Iowa. Full price of NFL Sunday Ticket will be automatically charged seasonally after the free trial and the refunds. Terms, restrictions, and embargoes apply. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-BETS-OFF.
He does it the only way he knows how. With his massive sports brain sprinkled with a smidgen of rabble-rousing.
Let's get back to the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
All right, welcome back. More of the Connor Happer Show here on 1620 The Zone and on 1620thezone.com. By the way, follow up on that story. Travis said he has flown an A320 simulator, and he said it wasn't that hard. He said he would probably get it done if given a second chance.
Many can do it.
You don't get second chances in real life, Travis. If we die, we die.
That's true. People forget.
Unless you're Denzel Washington and you're hammered in that one movie. Flight, which I watched while I was not working, but kind of working for several weeks.
You were doing some podcasts.
It says takeoff is super easy. The landing is much trickier.
Well, sure.
Yeah, yes, I would imagine so. All right. I have a bit of a controversial topic here.
Ooh.
Yes.
Let's go. Little spice on the lunch hour. Who's with me?
I want to hear your first reaction to this, Josh. I'll ask the question point blank, period. Can Nebraska effectively end Prime Mania on Saturday?
Whoa.
Think about it. Swish it around a little bit.
What
do you think? Want to pick up your overreaction sign?
No, I don't. I don't think that's an overreaction.
I'll make the case for you. Nobody thinks he's going to be around for very long, right?
That is correct. Some of us don't think he'll finish the year.
Some people do think that. Especially, I think that that feeling is only enhanced, exacerbated by if he can't get it off the ground quickly. For them, this is a big game too. It's a big game. That was supposed to be the idea, right? Like we forget, we've gotten away from this, because Nebraska has become so focused on Nebraska. And that's a good thing, by the way. Get the Nebraska part right.
Definitely.
Been so focused on Nebraska. But remember, we've moved the goalposts on the Prime project. That has to be admitted by Coloradans, by the dirty hippies. Remember the consternation last year after this game? Colorado was ranked. People thought they were going to the playoff, and people were calling into the show and saying, man, I wish Rule would do Deion's way. I wish that Nebraska would make it happen a little faster.
Nebraska hired the wrong guy.
Look at how, and I don't know if it was so much of like, hey, I'd rather have Deion, but the method that Deion was employing seemed to be working. They got a whole bunch of transfers. They got some energy. They beat the defending national runner-up, and then they crushed Nebraska in game 2. And people said, holy smokes, this is going somewhere. I don't know if they're going to go to I don't know what that team's going to be, but man, they revitalized this program overnight, all out of the transfer portal, the quick fix method. We were having that conversation a year ago, next week. People were calling in this show and saying, man, I just why do we have to wait? They're not waiting. Why do we have to wait? They both came in at the same time. Why do we have to wait? They're not waiting. And so I want people to remember that, and then also remember where you were a year ago, and now think about where you are now. I know everyone here thinks that Nebraska is on more stable ground than Colorado is. And I think most people nationally think Nebraska is on more stable ground than Colorado is. And I think most people nationally think Nebraska is in a position to win the game tomorrow. And I don't think that's exclusively because of Dylan Raiola. I think that's mostly because of what Nebraska didn't do last year. They flamed out last year. Undoubtedly, there's still interest in what's going to happen. To Coach Prime's point this week, he said, you might not like it, but you're going to watch it. No doubt about it. But now, it's not about the heights they can reach anymore. Last year at this time, we were wondering, boy, is this happen? Can they do this? Is Deion Sanders going to take this team with his son as the quarterback and a 5-star recruit that they took from Jackson State and go to the playoff in his first year? Is this working? Is this going to work? Phone's ringing, Josh. It's not so much about that anymore. It's about the reaction and watching it go up in smoke. It's about watching the slow train crash now. And so Nebraska this weekend has a unique opportunity. Can they move that goalpost one step closer to that with a win? Does all of the national attention, obviously there's going to be the debrief of the game and of the status of Colorado. Does it work? Has this been a failure? I do think Nebraska brings that into focus very clearly next week if Nebraska is able to win the game. And then what happens is if they don't do that and they kind of just putz around this year and maybe they find their way to 5 or 6 wins or something like that, then the story is over because it gets boring and you realize they are not going to reach the heights that because once again, I'll reiterate this. That was the point. That was the point. You didn't do this to be good in 3 years. Colorado did not hire Coach Prime to be good in 3 years. They hired him to be good last year, and they hired him to be good this year. If Nebraska makes them 1-1 in the season with a close win against North Dakota State and a loss to Nebraska, people are going to be wondering, are they going to be good this year? Are they good? Is this ever going to work? So that will bring that right into focus this week. And eventually, if you don't get the answer yes, people just stop paying attention to it. Like I said, Josh, I just, there's going to be, this sort of debriefing on, all right, what do we, is the Coach Prime thing a failure? Kind of after, but I do think this is a big game in those regards. And it'll be a representation of, Nebraska fans, I think, being rewarded if you were patient last year and you weren't calling into this stupid show and saying, boy, I wish we could have it now. You might be rewarded on Saturday. And yes, of course, Nebraska got a nice little break when they got a 5-star quarterback. Of course. We'd be fools not to acknowledge that. Of course they did. So that, in a sense, is a quick fix. And what Nebraska did in their wide receiver room is, in a sense, a quick fix. With Banks.
Colorado also.
With Banks in there. But everyone feels as if Nebraska has a steadier platform to stand on than Colorado does at this point. So I'll ask you again, Josh, now that I've made the case, can Nebraska effectively end Prime Mania on Saturday?
I don't know if they can end it, but they can put it on its deathbed, for lack of a better word.
Deathbed?
They can put it on life support. Because
the conversation should have shifted a long time. Now we just do like weekly check-ins. Once again, it's weird. They don't get held to the standard that I thought that we were going to hold them to at first. The whole thing is they was supposed to work. And now I hear Colorado people coming back to me telling me, well, hey, look, we're more relevant than we are. It's not to be relevant.
Yeah.
The point of coaching a college football program is not to be relevant. It's to be good.
It wasn't go to 2 wins and then to 4 wins and then to 6 wins. It was supposed to be.
That's what we thought was going to happen with Nebraska.
Uh-huh.
And it's worked the opposite way. Riley tweets in at Connor Happer on the JTech Construction Zone Twitter feed.
Hi, Riley.
He says, one of the most remarkable things about Rule has been the shared understanding by the fan base that he's going to develop the program the right way while simultaneously being seemingly ahead of schedule and progress. Well, that's where your 5-star quarterback comes into play. But no doubt about it. And I don't know if you would have asked a year ago, are you willing to, I think probably more of our conversations were around the idea, hey, are you willing to wait a couple years? Are you willing to wait 2 or 3 years before Nebraska's really back and they're in that mix for college football playoff spots, whatever it might be, conference championships? Well, they might be in the mix right now, and I don't know, that was a pretty quick fix for Matt Rule. Pretty impressive to Riley's point. That's for sure. To the 42 Degrees of Source hotline. Here is Mike. Mike, what's going on?
Hey, not much. Hey, great show as always, guys. I want to say thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
Hey, real quick, man. I think this Nebraska team, is like hungry as heck. I think there's a fire burning in them from last year's game with Colorado, and I think they're going to play with their hair on fire. My other question is, I think our leadership's in a lot better position, not just with the coaches, but I mean in general with the leaders that did stay, and they understand what's at stake with this game on national TV. It's probably the biggest game we've had in 20-something years to make us relevant again. But the other part is, I just want to know if Shannon Sharp and Stephen A. Smith and all of Prime's buddies are going to be coming to Lincoln.
I don't think Stephen A. is probably coming. Sorry, say that again, Mike.
Yeah, I said I'm not saying we're going to beat them by 4. Thinking on these guys, and I just want to know, where are the Shannon Sharps and Stephen A. Smiths that were there last year, just laughing and giggling while Colorado was winning this game? I want to see if all of his buddies show up.
Okay, interesting. Thanks, Mike. Appreciate the call. Like I said, I don't think Stephen A. is coming. Don't think he'll make the trip.
Sad.
Probably
busy.
We have talked about the dignitaries that could be in town. But yeah, I mean, there will be a wide array of takes. But don't you think this represents a crucial moment for them? Like, I feel like it's not being built up that way, and it's weird to me. Once again, there should be more stakes. Like, Colorado fan will try to tell you, if we lose, then, it's your Super Bowl. It's not our Super Bowl. Well, are you sure? Because you seem to really love this Coach Prime guy, and if they lose this game to a team that they beat handily last year, and they got a number 1 pick at quarterback, and they got a number 2 pick at wide receiver and defensive back, then aren't they supposed to win? What's this all about? Aren't they supposed to win? So I think that, like I said, there will be a wide array of thoughts, but this is a pretty crucial moment for that program in my eyes, or for that program under this coaching staff in my eyes.
Colorado's looking to make a bowl game, and boy, it'd be a lot easier to make a bowl game if you go 2-0.
Yeah, but once again,
given their schedule,
bowl game. What are we talking about?
That wasn't the goal.
What are we talking about? We've moved the goalposts on this thing just rapidly over the last year plus now. A lot of Coach Prime's friends now are on his staff also. What is it? Why is Terrell Owens? Is he on the staff, or is he just around?
I believe he is.
Is he doing something?
Counseling the wide receivers.
Got it.
I don't believe he is
Counselor
officially
Owens
on staff.
Warren Sapp is like a kind of analyst, assistant defensive line coach. Phone's ringing again.
Play that video.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Please do. Play the video of Warren Sapp sucking the oxygen.
Fire
mask.
everyone at Husker Vision if that video isn't
wow.
played in the stadium.
Josh is calling for people's heads.
That's right.
Jeez. Yeah, people were also wondering how many bleep words or how many bleeps they'll have to do for Will Compton's speech again this week. There were several. There were several last week. I saw the video. Yeah, I heard that he's doing that for every game, or he's doing that for a bunch of games. So they'll just be coming while the team is getting their speech from Matt Rule, which will be better. Will Compton will be the one getting the fans fired up. So maybe a better way to ask this question, and we'll get back to the phones here in just a second. What's the headline on Sunday morning? Is it especially if Nebraska wins, is it RIP the Prime era or Prime Mania? At least the rabid, weird attention on it? Or does that get hyped up more? Do they bring it back on ESPN and start talking about it again? Or could it be another brand that is that was good in the 90s, and there seems to be some sort of, like, hey, I've been calling them to be pretty good for a long time, but now I actually think it's the case. Could the headline be that it's Nebraska's coming out party?
I think it's probably that. I think it's probably, oh my gosh, you have to watch this Dylan Raiola kid.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I want to get into a couple pieces of that. That's where my possibly bold prediction might come in as we go on throughout the show today. But let's take another call here from Brian on the 42 Degrees Source hotline. Hey, Brian, what's up?
Oh, not much. How are you doing today?
Very good, Brian.
Good. Hey, you guys' media up there is sure pretty confident. Well, not really you guys, but everybody seems pretty confident we're going to win. Yes. I don't know. Dylan's only played one game, one college game. I mean, and they beat us by 22 last year. And yes, I know we turned the ball over 5 times or whatever we did. But, yeah, I think we need to pump the brakes. It's going to be a close game. I don't know. And we don't have a history of winning these games here.
So, Brian, you're a Nebraska fan, right?
Yep, I'm a Nebraska fan. Yes. But that doesn't mean I'm going to pump Sunshine.
No, I get it. I was just clarifying. I just wanted to clarify because you referred to us as you guys, so I didn't know what you were talking about.
Well, I mean, like, I don't know. I guess that's just the perception I get off the media. The media up there is everybody seems. I hope you guys are right. I mean, I hope so. Hope we win.
Yeah, I think it's a lot of just.
I want us to win. It's just I just don't want to get my hopes up. And
I think it's time to untether yourself like Batman in the Gulag, Brian.
Hope you're right. I hope you're right.
Thank you, Brian. Enjoy the weekend. Okay.
Not good enough for a second promo for Brian.
Wait, what was it the last time?
Why would you call and why would you go on the radio and just assume Nebraska's going to win? You've been on the hold for an hour.
He basically said the same thing.
Yeah.
Also, did it make sense why I didn't know where he was from? Because he kept saying, you guys up there. What does up there mean? Yeah. What does up there mean? Where is he? Where's Brian? Is he in the Gulag? Is he physically in the Gulag?
I don't think the Gulag gets cell phone reception.
No, probably.
Whole question, does the Gulag get cell phone reception?
Yeah, I am confident that Nebraska is going to win the game. It's not a homer thing.
But you're more confident than you normally are, though. I've noticed that about you.
I feel good about because I feel good about this team. I feel as good about this team just individually, regardless of opponent, as I have in a while. Because I feel like I know what I can expect.
Mm-hmm.
And I know Dylan Ryle has only played the one game up there. I know. I'm aware.
And it was against UTEP, Connor.
He's also a 5-star quarterback. He's gonna end up being the best quarterback that Nebraska's, best pure quarterback, I guess, that Nebraska's seen. Like, that's gonna happen. Feel good about that one too. But I feel good about the team. I feel good about the team. I like the team. That was the post-game thought from last Saturday night. I like the team. I understand what they're trying to do. I understand how they could accomplish their business. I think there's a clear ceiling and a clear floor. I feel like I have a good grip on Colorado. They kind of stunk last year. They revamped a lot of stuff. They're maybe a little better this year. So I feel like the math is easy. There's not as many variables. The more variables there are, the less I have the grip on them. I don't understand them. I do understand this team. Like, I feel like they're better.
Saturday needs to be Tony White's magnum opus.
Okay.
His masterpiece.
Yeah. What's that look like, Josh?
It looks like giving Shadur Sanders 60 minutes of hell.
How many sacks you need from Tony? From big ass Ty Robinson?
Give me 6.
6. You got 7 last year.
Yeah. Give me 16 sacks, not 4 turnovers.
Oh, you got 8 last year?
And
7 or 8.
I feel like you got more than a puncher's chance Saturday night.
Yeah. Okay. So that brings up a good point. We'll talk about the scenarios here later, because that's where something will come up here. One quick question from Nick in St. Louis.
Hi, Nick in St. Louis. Tell the mayor I said hello.
Why do you guys always hate on Will Compton? Why do we hate on Will Compton? Do we hate on Will Compton?
Hey, former Titan legend.
What did I say about Will Compton? I just think his
it's your tone.
His
generally when his name comes up. And yeah, I believe yesterday you said, I would never subscribe to anything Will Compton does.
That seems a bit definite, Josh. I could not have said anything like that. But I don't dislike Will Compton. I just think the speech that Will Compton will give on the video board is perfect for it's the same thing that like Christian Peter used to do on the big screen. It was just like smash mouth football, that's good. You need a guy for that. Will Compton is clearly your guy for that.
Are they bleeping it or
yes?
Okay,
they're bleeping it.
And the blue hairs did not complain.
Not that I've seen.
Okay,
I feel like the olds seem to enjoy Will. And his
poll question: do the olds enjoy Will?
Do the olds enjoy Will Compton?
Okay,
yeah, you can put that out there. Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
He's gonna find it.
Yeah, and I don't think it matters. I don't think it matters this week. By the way.
Oh,
because
this game ain't for the olds.
You could put a big poop emoji on the screen. I'd be like, I'd be jacked.
Olds, listen up. We're standing.
Yeah,
we're standing on Saturday.
Yeah, no,
this game is not about comfort.
No, they get it. They get it.
Yeah,
they get it. Back after this, Michael Bruntz will join on the other side. We'll get caught up with what Matt Rule had to say today. Ask him about the ins and outs of the football game to come in a little more than 48 hours. Back after this on 1620 The Zone. back. We're the Connor Happer Show here on 1620 The Zone and on 1620thezone.com. Connor Happer, Josh Hudson with you. Michael Bruntz is coming up here in just a second. But as we usually have right before we talk to Michael Bruntz, there is some breaking news. Chiefs superfan Xavier Babudar, also known as Chiefsaholic, was sentenced to 17 and a half years in prison without parole and 3 years of supervised release on Thursday for committing a string of armed bank robberies across the United States. I believe including one here in our own Omaha, Nebraska.
The timing of this is
Suspect?
Not coincidental, right?
Time to release the Chiefsaholic sentence on Chiefs opening night.
Chef's kiss.
Love it.
No notes.
So with that breaking news, we now get immediate reaction from Michael Bruntz of Husker 247. Hi, Michael.
Hey, that's I still think the Queen dying was bigger than that, but
Yeah.
that's neither here nor there.
The Queen dying, UCLA and USC joining the Big Ten, and now Chiefsaholic 17 and a half years in the Slamma.
Yeah.
That's
Is
the
there
ranking.
possibility of parole there? Can he get out early?
It said no parole. It said without parole, according to the ESPN story.
Wow. Here's a question.
Yeah.
Is Pat Mahomes still the quarterback when he gets out of the slammer?
I'm going to say no.
Okay.
I'm going to say no. With all due respect to Pat Mahomes and the Chiefs, I'm going to say no. He's probably retired by then.
Got it.
Although it does feel like that era might last a very, very long time.
It's never going to end. No. It's never going to end.
No, it's not. All right. How was Rule today? I saw that he was he's now showing the team boxing matches, which is nice.
That's good. I mean, if you're going to show some videos, Bud Crawford's not a bad well to go to.
Not at all.
So yeah, the little boxing motivation, kind of a brief presser today. I don't know that there's a whole lot that we needed to cover that hasn't been covered already this week. Not
a lot to say left.
No, talking time's over. It's time for action.
Yeah, I think so. We were just talking about this, and I guess some of the outside narratives and storylines.
Speaking of talking,
yeah. Oh yeah, we got a lot of that stuff. I was mentioning how, like, kind of, I guess, comparing year over year where the programs are at right now. If you think back going into this game a year ago, Colorado was coming off of their win against TCU, and I remember after the game, after Colorado beat Nebraska last year, there was like this sentiment out there from Nebraska fans of like, wow, the quick fix worked. Why do we have to sit around and wait while Rule builds this up and they can, do what they're doing right now? And then I thought, wow, that was a different time. That was a year ago. And now everyone universally, it feels like Nebraska's on a much stronger platform than Colorado stands on right now.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably a pretty good example to not be a prisoner to the moment, right? I mean, think about where Colorado was after week 2 last year. I mean, you beat a TCU team that ended up not being the TCU teams that you'd had the previous few years, which I think people kind of expected that. But I mean, I think you just kind of have to be patient with things, and I think there's something to be said for building a program in the current state of college football within the walls, and not being too portal reliant. But I think sometimes too, you also have to keep in the back of your mind that the result of one game is not it doesn't confirm or refute what's out there. So it's I think that game last year was kind of ripe for that. And I think Colorado, has some very good players, and they've added some good guys out of the portal. But, I think Nebraska's on schedule with what Matt Rule wants to do. And I think, you just kind of had to be a little bit patient. And here we are.
Yeah. You look back to last year's game, obviously the turnovers were the major issue. Really, it was that way all throughout last year.
Mm-hmm.
Nebraska turned the ball over one time on a fumble this past Saturday against UTEP. How, based on what you've seen, what you've heard, anything, how confident are you that Nebraska has sort of cleaned it up, year over year here? Or do we have to wait and see one more game still?
You probably don't want to be a prisoner to that moment either. I mean, that's kind of where we are. Yeah, I mean, I think I took it as a positive that you played almost 100 players last week and you only had one turnover. I mean, I think that's a good sign. I want to see it a little bit, on a bigger sample size here before you officially declare that they've got the problem nabbed. But I do think though that they've emphasized the heck out of it in the offseason as much as they can. I do think you saw a quarterback making good decisions last week for the most part, which is even better because it was a true freshman making his first start. No matter how talented he is, I mean, there's still a little bit of danger there, but they've really coached to it. And I do think that, the fact that they do have more depth this year to be able to sit guys that do turn the ball over, I do think there's also a little bit of an effect there too. So we'll see. I mean, we'll see if they've can kind of continue the trend that they're on. But I think even during fall camp, I don't think they were turning the ball over a ton, especially the top group. So they're trending in a good direction. But I would not start hanging the mission accomplished banner quite yet.
What do you think the approach is with the one guy who did fumble this week, Dante Dowdell, who had a sort of a confusing game where he's the one guy who gets pulled and fumbled, but also probably looked like when he was out there the best guy that they have.
Yeah, I mean, I'm curious to see how they do that. I mean, I don't know that we're going to play guys that take care of the ball. I don't know that immediately banishes somebody to the doghouse for the season, but it's something that they have to work on still. And I think Dowdell too brings a little bit of a different look than the other backs in the room, even Gabe Irvin. And I think you'll see him out there. I mean, Matt Rule kind of said today that that Ramir Johnson's going to be the first guy out there for third down, and that's kind of only the only guarantee that he kind of made for how that would look. So I think you'll see Dante Dowdell still, hopefully with a little bit better, focus on ball security. It wasn't a great fumble. I mean, it's something that they want to coach out, but I mean, I think you got to give him another shot just based on what he brings to the table as a physical runner.
Yeah, it's also not like he just outwardly dropped the football,
No.
Those fumbles are going to happen no matter what.
He didn't snap the ball off of somebody's butt. He didn't just drop the ball. He didn't have the ball hit his thigh pad and without contact fumble it. I mean,
yeah,
there were a lot of things he did not do on that play that Nebraska did a year ago. So maybe that's even progress too.
Bruntz, we're going to go through in a couple minutes. We're going to talk about the scenarios, like the whose terms does this game get kind of played on. If this game ends up getting played on Colorado's terms, can Nebraska win a Colorado style game?
I'm assuming you mean like a high scoring back and forth.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Kind of a track meet. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think that's Nebraska's
not their preference.
Style. I think they've got guys that will allow them to do that if that kind of a game happens more so than last year. But I don't think that's the type of game that Nebraska wants to get involved with. I mean, I think the recipe for Nebraska has to be the defense doing its thing. You're going to have to get some work done on the ground with the running game. And I think that's what it looks like for Nebraska. I think they can kind of get into if you want to use the boxing analogy, I mean, you can stand in the middle of the ring and trade punches and that kind of thing. But I think Nebraska kind of wants to back Colorado into a corner and kind of bully them around the ring a little bit.
Yep. I think that's definitely the preference for Nebraska. Because what we know is that maybe Nebraska can win a track meet. Like you said, I think they have the guys that could, although we haven't seen that yet. What we do know is that Colorado can't win a Nebraska game. If Nebraska possesses for double the time that Colorado does, and Nebraska doesn't turn the ball over like they did last year, Nebraska wins, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think if the turnovers are even, and I mean, I think that's a big one. Is if Nebraska offensively takes care of the ball. I mean, I like the chances in this one. The biggest keys to me are not giving up those 3 or 4 just big chunk plays, those big momentum plays to Colorado that they're probably going to need to win that game. It's just, I think, more about Nebraska in this game and just kind of doing what they can do rather than, more about Colorado. Because I think Colorado's going to make a few plays, but I think Nebraska just needs to kind of keep expecting this to be a 4-quarter game and keep swinging.
By the way, Bruntz, before we let you go, Patrick Mahomes would be 45 in 17 years. So maybe there's an outside chance.
Yep. Yeah, maybe Bo Nix is still the starting quarterback in Denver by then. Right?
Maybe Dylan Raiola is. I don't know.
Lots of possibilities.
All right, Bruntz. We will see you up there on Saturday.
We'll be there. We'll see you. Michael
Bruntz of Husker 247. You know what I should have said this morning when I went on that show in Denver?
Yeah.
That's what I should have done. I should have thrown the shade that way. If they would have started talking about Dylan Raiola or something like that, I was like, hey, don't talk about that guy too much because you're going to regret some of the things you're saying right now, because we know just as well as everybody else, you're going to be looking for a quarterback in 3 years and you're going to want this guy pretty bad.
Yeah.
Damn it.
Yeah.
Mistake number 1 by me.
Call back.
First. Hey, I forgot something.
The jerk store called. I slept with your wife.
17 and a half years. He admitted to stealing more than $800,000 in 11 robberies across 7 states and laundering the proceeds through casinos. Guy was just on the run, laundering, going to casinos with his stolen bank money.
Like in the movie Hell or High Water.
That's a great movie.
It is. It's like $72,000 a job.
I mean, so what you're saying is he's getting out okay.
I mean, yeah.
That's pretty good, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
I mean, not every bank heist is a multi-million-dollar situation.
I'm thinking of the movies too much.
Yes.
Yeah.
Put the money in the bag. Wearing a yellow prison jumpsuit and handcuffs during his sentencing at the district court for the Western District of Missouri, Babadar apologized to his victims, to Kansas City, which he called his home, and to his mother and brother. As he left the courtroom, he blew them a kiss.
Only like 1.5 million more Chiefs fans to go.
Babadar's attorney, Matthew Merriman, said that, we're just going to call him Chiefsaholic now. Chiefsaholics robberies were driven by gambling addiction. Patrick Daly, senior litigation counsel at the U.S. Attorney's Office, disagreed. Quote, it's not an addiction to gambling. It's not an addiction to the Chiefs. It's an addiction to fame. The fame did this to him.
Oh.
What a case. What a case.
Can't wait for the ID Discovery doc to be streaming on Max, and then for Ben Affleck to play Chiefsaholic.
In a court filing, Chiefsaholic's lawyer argued that Chiefsaholic should receive a 10-year sentence to allow him time to right his wrongs. Quote, due to his quasi-celebrity status, Chiefsaholic is in a unique position to potentially repay the financial losses created by his actions.
Oh.
So they're saying they're like, make a movie, do a book, he'll get the royalties, pay off, and then we're good, right?
Go light on the sentence.
Yeah.
He'll be a fame whore.
I'll make it worth your while.
Yeah.
And we'll tell a great story in the meantime. What a story.
I mean, if you're his lawyer, yeah, sure. Not a bad swing.
I guess so.
Yeah.
I guess so. All right, we're back after this. Don't forget, we'll have Paul Burmeister, the play-by-play man this weekend for NBC, joining us at the bottom of the hour. Let's do those scenarios when we return on 1620 The Zone.
Let's get back to the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
Here comes the clown.
I have a very important announcement to make.
Cannonball?
Yes. You need to stop what you're doing and listen. No, it's about 4-quarter pick'em, Josh.
The game we play?
Yes.
4-quarter pick'em?
Yes, it's different. You love a changing of the guard, right?
I love changing of the guard.
We are changing of the guarding 4-quarter pick'em this year.
What?
It's better and it's worth more money.
Money?
Yes. Yes. It's back. We're doing a very, very special edition of 1620 The Zone's 4-quarter pick'em this year because we'll be giving away $25,000.
Whoa.
That's about a quarter of a Chiefsaholic take from a bank robbery.
Rob us instead.
Pretty good. Starting Monday, we're going to make the picks for next week's games. You could win a piece of the $25,000 prize by making your picks. So we'll be picking the games not against the spread this year, but straight up. There'll be 5 NFL games. There'll be 5 college games. And you'll be saying, man, I bet I could probably go 10 out of 10 on just picking games straight up.
Especially these early college games where you know who's going to win.
And we thought of that too. So what you'll have to do in the event that there is some sort of a tie at the top, the most, the people with the most wins over the weekend have 9 wins or 8 wins or 10 wins, whatever it might be. The tiebreaker will go to who enters first. And who enters first, we're giving you an opportunity to do this. But only if you subscribe to 1620 The Email.
A very good email.
1620 The Email subscribers can get early access to do their picks a day before everybody else. So you're going to want to do this. We're giving out $2,500 every week. It's all going to be a chunk of that $25,000 this season. And we've gone years and not given away the $1,620, Josh.
Right.
Not happening this year. Absolutely not happening.
Every single week.
Yeah. So you're going to want to, number one, subscribe to 1620 The Email, and then definitely play 4-quarter pick'em with us this year because it's cool now. It's better. 4
quarters, baby.
Oh, that's what you're doing. 4-quarter pick'em.
Mm-hmm.
Indeed. All right. I got an email from Ohio State Ross.
Hi, Ohio State Ross.
He doesn't call himself Ohio State Ross, but I call him Ohio State Ross because every time he emails, it's about Ohio State. But this one isn't.
Oh.
This is about CU.
Colorado or Creighton?
Colorado.
Okay.
So he writes, all offseason, everyone around here talks about Colorado and how they're Charmin soft and how they suck and how much dysfunction is in their program. So why would it be a big win for Nebraska beating a team that probably couldn't win an FCS national title this year? Ross, I have a pretty easy answer for you. Ross, you, an Ohio State fan, should know that rivalry games exist, right? Also, losing to Coach Prime twice, bad look. Nebraska would be the first team to ever do it.
Yes.
Well, I guess at Colorado. It's what happened to him last year. It's not so much about what it like. There's so many layers and facets to the conversation that we were having on yesterday afternoon's crossover. Like, is it a big game? Is it like it's a huge game? It's a nationally televised game. It's Shador versus Dylon. It's like
really embarrassing to lose to your blood rival 2 years in a row.
100%, 4 out of 6 years, and then you don't know the next time you're going to see him. Like, it's a gigantic game. It's not about, but it's not like this is a this is a huge game for the future of the program. Like this is, I feel like obviously Nebraska's in a better place if they win any game. X game, enter game here. But if Nebraska wins the game, it's not like they're going to be celebrating in the streets because they're back. It'll just be another notch in that. And it will feel bigger because it's a power conference opponent. It's a night game and you've hyped up the game. And these games, Nebraska, I don't know how many times I've explained this week, but like Nebraska's been in these games so many times and have always fallen flat on their face. Whether it's because of too many turnovers or screwing it up late or not playing well at all or not showing up or the other team's way better than them. Like there's 100 different reasons why Nebraska's lost this game since they last went to a bowl game. We could just take it in that period of time. They haven't won one of them. So that's a big deal. It's not about who's there. Oregon wasn't that good the year that Nebraska beat them in 2016. That felt big. It was against a brand. People cared about it. They watched the game. Oregon ended up winning 5 games that year. And I think they fired their coach. And he went off and started to do games on Fox. Mark Helfrich. Right? And even inside the game, their starting running back got hurt in the game, like early. And it was like, so you could even discredit Nebraska that way. But nobody gives a bleep about that. Nobody cares about that. That was a big win for that team that season. We go through semantics on this all day long, but I don't understand. I don't get how it's not. I don't get how it's not a significant occurrence. Right? I don't care. I don't care who's across from. But this in particular, that team with that coach, the way that they've played against each other over the last several years, and Nebraska feeling really good about itself right now. Yeah, it just is.
It's not about being back in the sense of, oh, here we come playoff. We're going to start ripping off natties. It's about playing competent football again. It's about being back to that.
Yeah, that obviously would be a nice thing for this program. To go into a game like this and not have it just mentally all fall apart. That would be a big deal.
Not to do the same big red overreaction that we've always done.
I wouldn't like that.
That would be bad.
I'm trying to find the quote from Joe Dirt.
Joe Dirte?
I'm going to use a quote from, I'm really quoting movies and referencing movies this week, Josh.
Love this.
The quote, I don't know how it works. It just does. I don't know how it's a big game. It just is. If you can't feel it, how exactly is a rainbow made? How exactly does a sun set? How exactly does a posi track rear end on a Plymouth work? It just does. It just does.
Skylock.
It just does. That's Joe Dirt's dad. Thank you, Mr. Dirte. Buick Skylock. You do it again, I'll stab you in the face with a soldering iron. You're talking to my man all wrong. Okay, so I don't know. Yeah, hopefully that answers the question. Charles writes in, magnets, how do they work? I don't know. Let's ask Joe Dirte's dad. It just does. Some things don't have answers.
Yeah.
It just is.
Because I said so.
Seriously, that's kind of where I'm going right here. It just does. Sal writes in.
Hi, Sal.
Husker do's, Husker don'ts. With or without the scooter stick. Snakes and sparklers? That's all you got? You don't have any Husker do's, Husker don'ts? No. Travis says I came here for the Husker talk and stayed for the Joe Dirt quotes. I got Joe Dirt, I got Batman Dark Knight Rises, and I got what's the other one that I've been referencing this week?
My Cousin Vinny?
No.
Dumb and Dumber?
No. It's Succession with I might die. If I win this, I might die.
You made a graphic.
So I guess that's not a TV show. All right, I guess it's not a movie, it's a TV show. All right, we do have to do the scenarios. We're going to do the scenarios. Jeff writes in, he says, I'll use this going forward with my 4-year-old who keeps asking why I do everything. It just does.
Yep.
Ask Joe Dirt's dad. Back after this on 1620 The Zone. Last night in my head, I was running through a lot of scenarios. Admittedly, not all of the scenarios for how Nebraska and Colorado version, I don't know, what is this version? I mean, a lot all time, but 4 in the last 6 years or 2 in the prime rule era. So let's just call it that. Colorado, Nebraska version 2, volume 2, Electric Boogaloo.
Could be 73.
73.
Yeah.
By the way, what's Nebraska's advantage in the series?
49 wins, 21 losses, 2 ties.
Pretty good. Pretty good.
So
So wow, Colorado only had they had beat Nebraska less than 20 times before 2019.
That is correct.
Wow. Or before last year. Or no, before 2019. Yeah.
Right. Colorado's won 3 in a row.
They have.
Ties their longest win streak in the series.
I would imagine so.
What'd you find, Dr. Strange?
Yes, thank you. Thank you for getting me back on track.
Yeah, I got you.
So, you start with the idea of whose terms are we playing on? How does it go if we play on? Yeah, who's dictating the tempo? Who's running things? Who's the boss here? If it's on Nebraska's terms, I mean, it's just a huge advantage for them. I don't really see a scenario if I'm to go into my Doctor Strange portal vortex. If Nebraska, let's just give you these generic numbers. If Nebraska wins the time of possession by more than 10 minutes, and if they turn the ball over less than twice, Nebraska's not losing that game. They're just not. It's about ball control, for Nebraska, because the less they have. Nebraska did a really good job of this in the first half of last year's game. Then it just kind of snuck away from them. They turned the ball over 1 too many times, 2 too many times, 3 too many times. They survived a lot of the mistakes that they made.
People forget.
Yeah. But this is an obvious advantage Nebraska. So that's a scenario that I feel really, really confident that Nebraska wins if it's played on their terms. And so if you're asking, okay, what do they need to do to win this game? That's the key. Control things up front, ball control, don't turn the football over. You got yourself a nice sound plan. You're going to win that football game, however many times out of 100, 90, I don't know, more than that. 9 out of 10. Nebraska's just going to win that game. But let's go to Colorado's terms. I know Nebraska doesn't prefer to get in a track meet. I just asked this question of Bruntz. But can they win a track meet? Are they capable of winning a track meet? And why do I feel like the answer is yes? Well, 3 reasons. Dylan Raiola, Jamal Banks, and Isaiah Nair. And I wonder, the emotional part of this is important. Somebody asked the question earlier. I can't remember if it was on YouTube or on the text line. Rule talked in that pregame speech in that halftime speech that he gave with UTEP about, hey, shake their hand, but end their season, but shake their hands afterwards. I wonder what the attitude might be like if they are in that sort of track meet, or if they do get a chance to kind of step on the throat. Like, will they get a little? Do you hope at any point Nebraska gets a little outside, little comfortable? Last year Nebraska's chance to win the game was their margin for error was just really thin. I just don't think it's that thin this year. I don't think it's as thin, certainly. I think Nebraska has some room to kind of maneuver here because of the weapons they have at their disposal now and the strength of their team overall. If you can match them physically, which of course they feel like they can, and you can match them from a speed perspective. Now, obviously, Travis Hunter, Shedeur Sanders, that connection, Jimmy Horn, they have really 3 or 4 good wide receivers that Nebraska has to be concerned about at all times. But really, you're looking at Nebraska's offense. If you're looking for the difference between last year and this year, it's very simply that. I think this offense can score points. They put together drives last week. They were clean last week. They didn't take many chances last week. They pushed the ball down the field a little bit. They allowed their quarterback to settle in and make some things happen for himself. And he was really good, and he passed all of those tests. But there is a small part of me that does want to see, I don't want to see Nebraska down by 14 points in this game. But if they are, they got the weapons to come back. Nebraska's down 13-0 last year. They're toast. They were done.
Yeah.
They were done. The game was over. 13-0. I mean, even though they tied or they got it back to 13-7 on Sims' long run, you just felt like, whew, got that one. He was untouched running to the end zone. Going to have those defensive busts every once in a while. Nice.
They would not like to, but they have the ability to go over the top if it is needed.
I'm not worried about their football ability to come back in a game because I just think they have a lot of advantages physically in the game. But I guess the one lingering question with that is, how would they handle the disappointment of getting shocked early by them? Like from the mental side, that's an unanswered question that I have. But if I play this out in my mind a little bit more, and we're specifically going down this one Doctor Strange scenario, and it does turn into a bit of a, it's the show that everybody, all the neutral observers on TV want to see. It's Dylan versus Shador.
Oh, let's go.
It turns into quarterback versus quarterback, wide receiver versus wide receiver. And the defenses become obsolete, which, by the way, not going to happen.
I don't think so.
Not going to happen.
But what if it was the Mel Kiper Jr. special?
I think there's a world where Nebraska can score 50 points in this game.
Whoa!
I think that is a Doctor Strange reality that exists somewhere out there. I think
50 burger.
I said I think there. Don't stop typing. What are you typing?
Last time Nebraska football scored 50 points.
What are you? The 2021 Northwestern.
Okay,
has to be right.
I don't know.
So 56-7.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah, 100%. Stop typing. And I want to be clear. I said I think there's a world. It's not Nebraska's preferred world, but I mean, if this turned into a shootout, it can get to a shootout. And I'm more worried about Nebraska than I would be in a game that Nebraska controls the pace and tempo and the tenor in which the game is played. But if it's not, they're not dead. Dylan Raiola can throw it around the yard.
Absolutely. He's got the receivers who can catch it too.
Yeah. I think there's there's this small little corner of the world that exists where Nebraska ends up, Nebraska and Colorado end up playing this shootout, and it's 50-50,
slinging it,
something like that. I don't want that world. I don't want Nebraska's clearest path to victory is to slow it down a little bit. With that being said, I do think they'll take their shots. I do think they'll open it up a little bit. I don't think they'll be afraid to go after their defensive backfield after the run is established. But obviously that's the first thing. And I think that's a place where they could potentially have some success in this game. But yeah, that's not outside of the realm of possibility.
Nebraska scored 50 twice in 2021, once in 2019.
Twice in 2021. That would have been Northwestern and Fordham.
That is correct.
Fordham! And once in 2019. Okay, going through. Bethune-Cookman. No, that was 45-0. No, that was 2018. Sorry. What was it?
It was at Maryland, 54-7.
54-7 at Maryland. I wouldn't have come up with that that quickly, so thank you. Jeff writes in on the text line.
Hi, Jeff.
I don't know how you handle all the positivity this week. I just am. Once again, I'm not tethered.
There's a lot of it.
I'm untethered. I've let myself free. If at the end of I've talked a lot this week. If at the end of this, I end up falling and dying at the top of the gulag because I've untethered myself and the bats came out and they went, and then I fell off of the ledge of the gulag and died, then so be it. So be it.
Wow.
Yeah. I think that's how everyone should approach it. Dive in. If Nebraska loses, you gotta take the crap for a couple days. You do. You gotta just eat it. You gotta be the opposite of that Florida State fan.
If Nebraska wins on Saturday, I will become an unhinged individual.
And by the way, I'll be telling you that I told you guys all week.
Yes.
All right. I told you guys this.
I'm comfortable living that way.
Jack John writes in on Twitter.
Hi, Jack John.
Nebraska will score 50 points and blow out Colorado. Connor Happer.
There you go. You said it.
I did not.
Don't put it on the internet that I said that.
Dr. Strange told me that there was a world. All right. There's a couple scenarios where that exists. Treggy writes in on YouTube.
Hi, Treggy.
Dr. Strange, let me introduce you to Dr. Dimes. Is that Dylon?
Oh.
Dr. Dimes?
DR, Dr. Dylan Raiola.
DR Dimes.
Well, no, Dr. Dimes, but the doctor.
DR Dimes. Yeah.
Works,
Dr. Dimes.
Work levels.
Okay, hang on. We might have got something there.
I like Dr.
This
Dimes.
might be better than Tomanagua.
Dr. Dimes it is.
Dr. Dimes. All right, we'll come back. We still have Paul Burmeister coming up at the bottom of the hour, so we're going to make sure we get clear and have some room for him. That'll be our last segment of our show this afternoon. We'll come back, a couple more things to get to, including a story out of Tallahassee that I took some keen interest in last night. Next on 1620 The Zone. All right, NBC's play-by-play man, Paul Burmeister, who we just learned didn't do a game last week. I don't know where he was or where he wasn't on TV for college football. That's what we know.
Yeah, it wasn't a TV game.
It must have been a radio situation somewhere. We'll ask him. Hey, Paul, where were you last weekend? Where do you live?
Where are you stationed?
He'll join us in just a couple minutes. So the story come across last night, and I thought, what's going on here? This is the latest saga into the Seminoles. Oh, the Seminoles. Florida State has had a very rough start to their season. They've started 0-2.
In conference.
In conference. They've looked horrible. They've had a disastrous international trip followed by a disastrous return home in a primetime window.
Been there.
Not great. Not great for Florida State, who went all the way through the regular season and the conference championship game undefeated a year ago before getting beat 100-0 by Georgia. I believe that was the score, right? 100-0?
Close.
I think it was 65-3. 60. Maybe they got Ohio State, Nebraska. Maybe it was 62-3 in their bowl game last year, and they did not make the college football playoff because of an injury to their quarterback, Jordan Travis. And then they cried about it all offseason long.
63-3.
63-3. One worse than 62-3. And so the headline says this from Bruce Feldman of The Athletic. Florida State starts season 0-2, despite NIL team budget of roughly $12 million. And I thought, that's interesting. And then I read it, and it says this. There's still a long season ahead in college football, with most teams only having played one game, but Florida State couldn't have gone off to a worse start. The Noles, who began the season ranked number 10, are 0-2 with 2 losses to 2 unranked opponents. The team struggled despite the Noles making a big investment in their defensive line this year, with almost $2 million going to their starting front in what is an NIL team budget of around $12 million. A source briefed on FSU's NIL strategy told The Athletic this week. And I thought, you don't hear stuff like this very much. What's the NIL team budget? The only time you hear the NIL team budgets is when teams want to say they're either making way less money and then they guess that other teams are making way more money. I heard that Ohio State's paying their roster $7 billion a season, something like that. Or they say that they want to tout that they have a really good NIL project and you can be a student athlete here and you'll be well compensated for your name, image, and likeness, of course, because that's what this is, right? Name, image, and likeness. But you don't see it in this scenario. This is now being weaponized against Mike Norvell. Once again, $12 million NIL budget. A source briefed on FIU's NIL strategy told The Athletic this week. Now, would you go, if you were in charge of the NIL operation or you were inside the NIL operation at Florida State, or maybe it's if you were anywhere and your coach had a very, very bad start to the season, wouldn't an easy way to get people on your side, instead of we need more NIL, we need more NIL, we need more NIL. What an easy way to get people on your side is to say, well, here's our deal. All the attention goes in the coach now. Somebody in there doesn't like that guy. So this seems like a very cool, normal, and healthy situation.
Could there be a section of the populace within Florida State that maybe wants Mike Norvell gone, and I don't know, maybe a relatively famous alum who isn't doing great and would love a exit strategy to come on home? You think some Seminole fans want Coach Prime back?
I don't know. Maybe. Do you think they do?
I'll bet there's a segment that does. Yeah, for sure.
Do you think there's a message board post out there that says, I heard Scott Frost is back in football. Why not him?
No.
Okay. Which is more likely? Deion Sanders is the next Florida State head coach, or Scott Frost? don't know if they want. I don't know. Like, this is going to sound offensive, but real college football programs aren't dying to get Coach Prime right now. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, I know what you're saying.
I'm throwing all the shade at Colorado in the specific instance. College football programs that are established and have all that stuff, they're not tanking for Prime right now. That's for sure.
I'll bet there's a group of weirdos on a message board who would love for Coach Prime to come on home.
Maybe. There's always a group, that's for sure. So I thought that story was interesting and something to watch as Florida State continues their season. Josh, who's Florida State got coming up on their schedule?
I believe this is finally the
bye week for them.
Breath of fresh air. It is Memphis.
I'm sure it's
next week. Yes.
Yeah, I'm sure it's very fresh in the air down there. Yes, Memphis is next.
And they host
Cal in an ACC game.
It's a
SMU in an ACC game.
At SMU though.
Indeed, at SMU.
Then the big one against Clemson.
Clemson, Duke, Miami. Ooh, they are going to have a tough time getting to a Bowly Bowl, aren't they?
Yes, they need to win every game that they should to make a bowl game.
Did Bill O'Brien technically interview for the FSU job last week? On Monday. Kind of. Good one. All right, one more. I got an email here about Paul Burmeister. This is from Colin.
Hi, Colin.
Paul Burmeister has called a Nebraska game before. Remember that random game at Wyoming in 2011, I think? It was on the Versus Network. Wow, is this true?
Versus Network?
Yeah, I do remember that game.
Wow,
I do remember going out there. Yeah, I wasn't at it, but I remember watching that game and being scared to death that Nebraska was going to lose at Wyoming. Yes, if Power 5 school is playing on the Versus Network, you probably made some poor decisions in scheduling. Nebraska did win that game, though. That's what Colin in White Plains said. Shout out to Colin in White Plains.
That's right.
Jesse writes in on the text line.
Hi, Jesse.
Norvell's a good coach, but imagine the recruiting Prime could do in Florida. I don't know, man. You kind of have to, to have a job like that, you kind of have to have something on the resume. This one kind of had to work for Prime. I don't know, obviously, I don't think he dreams and longs of being the head coach of Florida State or any power program, to be completely honest with you. I think Colorado is a place that he's settled in because there was interest and it worked out with timing with his sons, and we'll see what happens after this year, right? I think, Prime's got to use Colorado in that regard a little bit.
Yeah, you'd probably want it to work a little better, but
yeah, I wouldn't, I wouldn't want to hire him.
He talk a big game and sell himself to that fan base.
Yeah, I would just be curious about, coaching staff. I'd be curious about, detail, it is so cutthroat at that level of football, man. I'm sorry, Colorado's just not at it. They're not in it. They're not in that world. It's so cutthroat. You have to be so good you have to be so airtight on everything. And the details, they eventually slip through the cracks. That's what happened here under a certain former coach. And they get exposed pretty quickly. So you got a program that's kind of detail oriented and knows how it wants to go about its business, then yeah.
I'm not saying it would work.
Oh, you just want to watch it. That would be fine with me. I'd like to watch it. That's for sure. Yeah. Okay.
I'd tune in.
Riley, here's another tweet from Riley. Riley's got bangers today. Deanna has done less with more than perhaps any other coach in recent memory. He had out of his league talent at Jackson State and couldn't win a championship. His problem isn't talent acquisition. It's coaching. There's no doubt. There's no doubt about it. And I don't know that anybody would say that he has a ton of talent at where he's at Colorado right now, but he is going to have 2 top 10 picks in next year's draft. And they're going to have a tough time getting to a bowl game, I think. They did not do so last year. All right, we will return with Paul Burmeister, the play-by-play man for NBC. He'll be on the call for Nebraska, Colorado this weekend. What's he expecting? What has he seen so far? And
where's he eating?
You know, what kind of special stuff do they have going on? You got any? Can we get a tease for any Shador and Dylon packages?
How much trash is Colt McCoy talking?
Yeah. Yes. All of that coming up on 1620 The Zone. Welcome back. We're the Connor Happer Show here on 1620 The Zone and on 1620thezone.com. Connor Happer, Josh Odson with you. Nebraska, Colorado this weekend. It is one of the biggest games in college football, and it'll be on NBC Saturday night. Play-by-play voice Paul Burmeister will call Nebraska, Colorado on Big Ten Saturday night on NBC and Peacock starting at 6:30. Paul, thanks for joining the show. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm better now that I'm actually on with you guys. I got to admit, I've been a fan the last couple of months. Out mowing the lawn, walking the dog, been thinking about this game a lot, and have found you guys and found pretty good conversation. You guys are well informed and fun to listen to. So you're familiar voices, and it's nice to be a part of it now.
Wow, you sorted through all the junk that we talked about during the summer and found some real football talk. Congratulations.
These are long walks, guys. These are long walks. So I've got time to kind of, perk up and pick up what matters and sift through the rest. No, you guys are good. You guys are, kind of doing this on a number of campuses. It's a bonus when any of us can kind of luck into a local podcast or show where the guys are clearly informed and get along well together. So it's been fun to listen.
I appreciate that. Also, there's no shortage of podcasts and shows here in the state, as I'm sure you have found.
I've sampled.
Okay, so I know you did the Nebraska-Maryland game last year, correct?
Yes. Yeah.
And so was that your first trip to Lincoln? I guess give us a history of Paul Burmeister in Lincoln.
Yeah, so I grew up in Iowa City and played quarterback at Iowa. So I'm from just down the road, and I can't tell you guys how many times on I-80 for vacation, whether it was winter, spring, or summer, we drove right by Lincoln on the way out to the mountains. Stopped here a couple of times, but hadn't really spent a lot of time here until last November when I was here for that game. So I've been Lincoln somewhat familiar my whole life, just based on proximity. But last November, I actually settled in and spent a couple of days here for the first time.
Are you around right now? Are you getting lunch? Are you looking for lunch spots?
I already did that.
Okay, good.
I took care of that. I wandered around, found lunch, and we're staying, I guess you'd call it downtown, staying, fairly close to the stadium. I'm settled in here and working on the special teams part of my boards right now.
Nice. I think a lot of this, correct me if I'm wrong here. I imagine a featured player in Saturday's broadcast will be the Shedeur Sanders versus Dylan Raiola part of this game. I guess how do you first of all look at that battle and how difficult is it to kind of get an assessment on Raiola given that there's just one game? Sanders is an established player, and what an interesting kind of contrast of guys that we have in this game, but an explosive one at that.
Yeah, I feel like we've really lucked into something, and just kind of zooming out before we get totally in specifically on the quarterbacks. In doing this job, if you come across a game where hey, it's going to be a sold out stadium that's really excited to be there. Okay, check, we've got that. And if you're fortunate enough to have two quarterbacks that have a lot of interest and a lot of talent and are more than likely going to play well, I guess it's kind of a guess with Dylan because he's so young, but we've all seen the talent. Some of the things that you look for in the abstract in a broadcast, we have with exclamation points with this game. So that's all kinds of fun for us, first of all. As for your part of it here in Lincoln with Dylan, I was here, I'd say a week and a half ago for practice. It ended up being the day that they named Dylan the starter while we were at practice, but just on social, they sent that out. But it's the kind of thing, guys, where you can watch him. And I played quarterback in college. I was at NFL Network for 10 years before NBC, where we covered all the pro days and went to all the combines. I know what it looks like when a guy does it really, really well. And I watched him throw one pass in warm-ups, and I was like, okay, yeah, I get it. I get while he's with the starters here, even before he's been named a starter, that's all there. And that doesn't mean he's going to be a great player. It doesn't mean the decision-making is going to be great, or the leadership, or who knows what else is out there. But strictly throwing the ball, it's a wow the first time you see it. And for someone who's a nerd of that position like I am, I can't wait to not only see him, but also see Shedeur and see how he performs in this environment too.
When you watch Dylan in his first game, I think that one of the things that really comes off the page to me is just how advanced he is, and the stuff that's outside of the actual throwing of the football, the stuff he does before the snap and during the play and moving his eyes around. I guess you think back and you look at some guys who are really, really young and early in their careers. Where does Dylan sort of stack up against some of the guys that you've seen as far as his advance in the mental side of the game?
Yeah, and I would say, I guess I'd go to emotional as well,
definitely.
maybe even above that to label it, because there's zero panic in him at all. And now, again, the two times I've seen him, one are at practice, most guys are pretty comfortable there. And the personnel was so much better for Nebraska last week, and his protection was so good that you would hope somebody would feel comfortable. But it was even beyond the expectations that way, guys. He just looked like, and he felt like he belonged. And physically, he looks like he's 25. I mean, I remember looking at my roster when I came to that practice. I'm like, is he a double or triple red shirt from high school? Like, he kind of looks like a grown man in the lower body right now. And then he just conducted himself like he belonged. Like, this is where he's supposed to be. He wasn't fazed by it. He didn't get kind of sped up mechanics or that look that people who are young in any sport kind of have to them when they're more nervous than they are ready. He had none of that. And so physically, yeah, it's great, but just the way he carries himself and the way he acts like he belongs in the pocket, it's super, super impressive. And I mean, I think there's a whole lot to look forward to. No matter how many wins and losses there are, no matter how long this kid is here, there's a lot of fun times on Saturdays to watch him play.
What's the vibe you've gotten so far from Matt Rule on, and I don't know if you've gone through any of the meetings yet, but you've been around a little bit. Like, what's the vibe that you've gotten from him on where his program is at right now and the sort of ground that it stands on, especially considering you were here at the end of last season and it feels, quite a bit different from what it did even at the beginning of November last year?
I got a really good feeling from him, guys, last November when I was here, even though things weren't going that well. And you could just kind of get the sense after studying him that week and after being around him and his coaches and kind of watching a little bit at the end of that, I think it was Maryland game week, you could tell that, boy, if they can get to the point where they throw and catch the football at above a 60% rate and where they're not turning it over a lot, there's a lot of other things here to like. And one of them is just the vibe you get from Matt. And the other is, looking around and seeing there's some really good talent here. And you hate to boil it down to just a couple of things, but if they turn the ball over half as many times, if they can throw the ball at an average way in the Big Ten, they're a pretty competitive, if not really nice team. And I kind of got that feeling last fall when I was here. And it impressed me because I knew the season wasn't going that well, but they still put out that kind of vibe. Matt still gives you that kind of feeling when you sit down with them. And all you got to do is move your eyes around a little bit and see that they're not lacking talent, especially experienced talent here.
What about from Colorado? I guess where is the ground that they're on right now? I don't know that they were scared away by what happened last week. I think they maybe expected to be in a pretty tight game. They got that with North Dakota State. I guess, how does that affect them coming into this week? How do you feel about the Buffs?
I don't think that, that being a one-score game really affects them. I mean, in a way, I think it might help them that they really had to rally and be at their best, whether they thought they're going to have to be or not, for a lot of that second half. So I think that game may help them coming in here, even though a lot of people who like Colorado would have rather seen them win by 3 or 4 touchdowns. I think their program right now is super, super interesting. And I'm not talking about anything on the periphery or the opinions people have, but just a program that's built on a quarterback and a wide receiver group that you combine that individual with that group might be the best in the country. And then you have a lot of other position groups that are question marks. And again, going back to how I always kind of end up seeing things based off of my background through a quarterback lens, I can't wait to see how good this quarterback and how good those receivers are and how much these other position groups, and pick a group, whether it's running backs, I think especially the offensive line, any one of the levels on defense, who else, how many of the other groups might step up to their level or just be pretty good by Big 12 standards to let that passing game take them a long way. I don't know if it's something that you can expect to win 7, 8, 9 games that way. Maybe you can, but I expect that group to be a terrific watch, and I'm really excited to see if there's a couple other position groups that can step up near their level.
You have a new broadcast partner this week, Colt McCoy. Have you been informed about Nebraska's relationship with Colt McCoy?
So when I was here a couple of weeks ago, everybody that came up and talked to me right away, they're like, "Is cold here. It was cold. And I don't really know the backstory. So I called him like, hey, my man, what's up with you and Lincoln in Nebraska? So he kind of filled me in on. He ended up spending a lot of time with Ndamukong Suh when they played, and they played in some big games. And I think he ended up winning all of them too. So I did not know the history, but Colt filled me in a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, I would assume so. I mean, just generally, like, how excited are you for that? I'm sure you guys have, of course, talked a lot and had a chance to kind of get together and talk about what it's going to look like this week. Like, that's going to be pretty exciting to roll this out, especially on this big of a stage with this game that everybody's going to be watching.
Yeah, we're both super, super excited. It's kind of like, I mean, as full-grown adults, we kind of have to dial back the excitement sometimes and get back to neutral a little bit. But Colt and I did 2 games together a year and a half ago in the USFL, and he was still on the Cardinals roster at that point and still kind of planning to play. And like, kind of a fun anecdotal story there. I forget if it was the game we called in Memphis or in Canton, but one of the 2 games that we called, he was the only quarterback there. Kyler wasn't really doing much, if anything. I think he was hurt. So he was like running, if they were in OTAs or minicamp, he had to be there for every moment of it. He took a super late flight and got in really early in the morning just to call that game with me. And I remember right there thinking, okay, I might kind of like this guy who's hustling around like this just to get a taste of broadcasting. And it was clear right away, guys, that he wasn't one of these people that just had a really nice career and kind of thought the industry owed him a job. Like, he really wanted to roll up his sleeves, A, see if he liked it, and B, see if he was going to be good at it. And he specifically wanted to work in college. I remember that too. I don't know if anybody offered him NFL jobs or what he turned down, but I know he wanted to be a college analyst. So everything I learned about him right away, I really liked. And I thought, whenever the time is for him to turn the page and walk off the field and into the booth, be pretty sweet if we ended up together. And now here we are a year and a half later, getting ready to do it for the first time on a pretty big stage with some pretty fun quarterback storylines.
Yeah. And even bigger picture, I guess I was going to ask you this before we let you go, Paul. Paul Burmeister, NBC, is going to call the game Nebraska, Colorado on Saturday night on NBC. Just generally NBC's, the new relationship with the Big Ten, the first kind of spin around that. I think it's been really well received by fans around here. The production value is incredible. It looks sharp. It looks great. Like, how has the experience been kind of with this new thing that nobody really knew how it was going to look, how it was going to go? It's been one way for a long time in Big Ten parts. I guess, how's it been for you and for NBC?
It's been fantastic. Like, everything you described, if you could picture like how that would feel from the inside of the building there at NBC, we all feel that way. Just in all caps with exclamation points. And I think we would have, no matter how this pack came to us. But a lot of us who have been at NBC for a while, and I've been here, this is my 11th football season, we had the number 1 NFL game and Notre Dame football for a long time and not a lot else. And a lot of us who love football were busy and happy working on other projects. But I think we always kind of wondered, God, how much fun would it be if one of these packages came our way? And like, for instance, the person who was the producer leading the way on this package for me and for all of us on Saturday, Matt Borzello, he and I have worked together on lacrosse. He and I have done college basketball together. We've done a number of sports together. When I was doing the Tour de France in France, he used to produce the primetime wrap-up show, and we would sit there somewhere in the middle of France and talk about cycling and how we could fill that hour in the best way after the day was over. And now we're doing Big Ten football together. So there's a lot of us who kind of had our nose pressed up against the glass of a package like this for a long time. And now that we have it and a number of us get to be involved in this way, we just love it. And it's a bunch of guys and women who get along well. And I think you can just probably sense you open the door for the excitement we have with the way you set it up. And all of us feel that at NBC. And we all feel pretty lucky to have this game on Saturday.
Paul, thank you so much for doing this. Thanks for stopping by the show. We hope you enjoy your time around here, and we'll see you up there on Saturday. Should be a fun one.
Appreciate you guys having me on. Take care.
That is Paul Burmeister. He's doing the game Nebraska, Colorado on NBC Big Ten Saturday night.
Thanks, Fallout Boy.
Thank you, Fallout Boy. If you need a Saturday night song, they got you covered. No doubt about it. That was good. Thanks to Paul. I'm curious about the Shedeur Dylon angle. I mean, but people watch him with fresh eyes. They're like, oh yeah. This guy is good.
I see
Might be
what you're
good.
talking about.
I thought it was, I think we all kind of had that thought last year of like, yeah, gosh, there's something here. They got something here. They're losing these games. Chuba's throwing picks in the end zone. They can't finish off these wins. Like, just hang on, just a little bit more. We can get there. And I'm glad to hear somebody else with fresh eyes kind of saw that last year when he was here for that Maryland game. And NBC, I truly mean it. NBC has been awesome. NBC has been a great addition to this league.
Yes.
I'm all the way in on that.
The picture is leaps and bounds better.
Yeah, they do a very, very sharp job.
Yeah.
To the polls, Josh.
To the polls.
Happer Show on the JTech Construction Zone Twitter feed. Does it feel like the Colts and the Texans play every week?
Absolutely.
80% say yes. I'm with you.
We were onto something.
Does the Gulag get good cell phone reception?
No, it couldn't possibly.
I don't think so. 70% say no. And finally, do the Olds enjoy Will Compton?
Most voted on poll question of the day.
I'd say unlikely.
Agree.
57% say no.
Okay.
Those are the polls. Josh, what are we watching tonight?
We have NFL football.
The NFL?
Yes.
Interesting.
Bold place to start, I know. Chiefs 3-point favorite at home against the Ravens in an AFC Championship rematch. 7:20 NBC. Coverage begins on 16:20 The Zone at 6:30. Coverage begins on 1290 Coil with Mitch Holtis at 6 tonight.
Look at that.
4 baseball games on MLB Network tonight. Your MLB TV free game of the day. Braves go for the sweep of the Rockies at 6:20. Women's semifinals taking place at the U.S. Open tonight, 6 o'clock ESPN. It could potentially have an All-American matchup in the finals if both Americans win. 2 WNBA matchups on Prime. Liberty hosts Seattle, 6 o'clock, followed by Washington and Phoenix. Volleyball tonight. Creighton hosts number 20 USC. You can watch it on FS1 at 6 o'clock. You can listen to it on the radio on 1180. You can go there in person and see our very own Connor Happer.
Yep.
MC. It's National Cheese Pizza Day or something like that.
That is correct.
And that's exciting. Apollo 13 doc on Netflix. Nicole Kidman plays a sad woman again on Netflix tonight. And Samuel L. Jackson and Kevin Hart steal money from Muhammad Ali in a Peacock series.
Amazing. Sounds like great television.
Yeah.
I think I'll do Creighton volleyball and then I'll watch the NFL.
Seems like
all that
great
other
strategy.
Stuff seems sort of unnecessary.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, Josh.
Thank you, Connor.
That's what we're watching tonight. That's the show. If you missed anything, you can find it all on our website, 1620thezone.com. The crossover's next.